Welcome to the video recording of High Altitude Preparatory Workshop conducted by Guardian Giripremi Institute of Mountaineering, Pune. Giripremi is mountaineering club based out of Pune. Since last 42 years, we have been working with a motto of mountaineering for happiness and spreading the word for the sport throughout India. Over last 42 years, Giripremi has completed 8,000-meter peaks and several other technical mountains like Mount Manda, Mount Meru, and several others amongst them. Giripremi in 2012, furthering the cause, started Guardian Giripremi Institute of Mountaineering, where we teach technical mountaineering and run courses for right from 9-year-olds to any age, whoever want to learn about mountaineering, climbing, and mountains themselves. Giripremi also started Giripremi Adventure Foundation in year 2022 so that the mountains become accessible to everyone and also they get to know more about mountains. The Giripremi Adventure Foundation conducts one-day treks to climbing Mount Everest, that is all open mountain adventure activities that are accessible to everyone. Through this video, you will go through the sessions of the equipments that are required for high altitude, the backpacking, other mechanisms, and medical as well as physical fitness training that is required to go in high altitude.
Let's have a quick glance and overview what this workshop is and what you should expect from this workshop. So in today's workshop we will have three sessions. The first session would be high altitude kit list, so what kit items that you should carry while you are on a trek which is a high altitude trek. The second would be the medical challenges that we face on high altitudes, and the third would be physical fitness that is required for high altitude treks. So let's so these three are three pillars of any high altitude trek, and if any one of these pillar is weak, let it be your fitness, your preparation, or medical unawareness, your trek or your expedition can get compromised. So that is why it is very important that we are aware of these three things and we are adequately prepared. To start with, we will start our session, the first session, which is kit list for your high altitude treks, which will be taken by Mr. Ashish Navandar. He is a field instructor and program coordinator at GAF. He is lawyer by profession, but he now works in mountaineering field full time. His achievements: he has done a basic mountaineering course, advanced mountaineering course, as well as basic and advanced rock climbing courses. And his few achievements are: he has summited Mount Kilimanjaro, which is Africa's highest peak and one of the 7 summits of the world. Apart from that, he has summited Zozongo Peak, Deotibba Peak, Friendship Peak, etc. So I will request Ashish to take the dais and.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Kaushal, for introducing me. And thank you everyone for being here. All the Giripremi members, our founders, President Tuve sir, and everyone else. A lot of familiar faces for me. Some of them I have hiked in Himalayas with. Probably I'll be boring you with the kit list and everything else that needs to be packed in a backpack. थोड़ा सा हेल्प होता अगर ये नहीं होता तो फर्स्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ मिसिंग आउट ऑन अ गियर और समथिंग which makes difficult. So gear list या kit list आपकी कभी मिस नहीं करनी है is very important thing. We'll go quickly over a few things. We have things right in front of us here also so that you know how do they look, what do you look for, what do you buy before going to high altitude. Kit list usually is a small parameter or list of things that we share with you for going to Himalayas. Usually in our briefing meetings also we discuss small pointers such as how to use them, where to use them, where do you get them, and why they are important for you to be carried to Himalayas or high altitude. So before we begin to that, it is very necessary that you understand that there are no golden rules as to your footwear, your clothing, or any of the things that are there in your kit list in usage of them. They are subject to the conditions that will happen in the Himalayas, and that we'll discuss overall throughout the session that we have for next 45 minutes. Okay, it will be a short and quick session itself. बहुत बोर नहीं करना चाहूँगा मैं. We will discuss a couple of things, essential things that you need to carry in high altitude, the equipments that you need in high altitude as a novice trekker or the first time trekker in high altitude. Other than that, what type of layering you need to put. While we will be discussing the clothing section of our kit list, we'll go through how do you layer in high altitude. हमें 100 कपड़े पहनने की ज़रूरत है या एक कपड़े में भी हो सकता है काम, ये हम जानने की कोशिश करेंगे. Then we'll look at how different your footwears and what impact they will have and how do you look after them. Okay, what things do you need to carry. अगर आप EBC पे जा रहे हो तो आपको वो बड़े से मिलेट के स्नो बूट दिख रहे हो, वो कैरी करने की जरूरत है क्या? तो नहीं है. You will need a normal trekking shoe, but what type of trekking shoe, what grip you look for while buying them, some things like that. And then we'll see how do you pack a bag, क्योंकि ये सबसे बड़ा क्वेश्चन होता है. I've seen I have added this point discussing with Vivek Dada because usually हम देखते हैं सब लोग weight carry कर रहे होते हैं और सब पूरा bend होकर सामने बहुत सुंदर पहाड़ दिख रहा है, but no one wants to look at the पहाड़, क्योंकि भाई पीछे मेरे एक पहाड़ लगा हुआ है. तो वो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप उसे कैसे पैक करो. So we'll learn that. We'll see what are ABCD of packing. We'll have a KG section class here too for packing of the gears. Okay. We'll begin first of all with the kit list that is there, और उस kit list में ये सारे elements हम discuss करते हुए जाएंगे धीरे धीरे. Your footwear that you are wearing in the leg, very important. पैर पे ही चलते हैं सबको. जब ढलान आ जाती है, बहुत ज़्यादा स्क्री आ जाती है, मोरेन आ जाता है, ऐसा लगता है कि ये पैर हमारे नहीं है, हमने किसी से उधार लिए है, और उससे ज़्यादा उधार पे कुछ लिया होगा तो हमें लगता है हमने शूज़ लिया हुआ है. ठीक है. So it is very important the choice of footwear that you go with, things that you wear in your legs, because they are the biggest way you are going to reach up to the mountain. ये आपकी 2 पहिए की गाड़ी है जो आपको ऊपर तक लेके जाएगी high altitude में. So first thing, the most important and the most required thing. Hello. 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 आवाज आ रहा है? Okay. The most important thing that I'm holding in the hand is a trek shoe. Okay. Trek shoe क्यों जरूरी है? सिंपल, अगर हमें चल के जाना है, ट्रैक करना है, तो ट्रैकिंग शू लगाना. अब हेलो 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 ऑडिबल? यस. ट्रैक शू. What is difference between the shoe that I'm holding in hand, the shoe that I'm wearing, and probably someone who is wearing a sport shoe? Does anyone know? Grip? Yes. Anything else?
Ankle support.
Ankle support, yes, very good. Anything else? Okay, very important things that you look at a shoe. I am holding a CTR shoe, simple, that we use, that I frequently use in सह्याद्री. बहुत सारे फीचर्स आपको देखने मिल रहे होंगे कि मेरा जो पैर में शू है उससे इसके एंकल का लेंथ जो है वो बड़ा है. Why do we need a ankle support shoe? So whenever you are choosing a trek shoe, you need to see at a few qualities. First thing you see is if there is ankle support. So you'll get trek shoes in both, जो low ankle के होंगे और high ankle के होंगे. But when you are going to a multi-day trek, it is required that you put on a high ankle shoe and practice the same before you are going to any high altitude places. That is because you will be walking through moraines, you will be walking through terrains where there is a high chance where you will twist your ankle. And this ankle support will keep your ankle intact from the low pressure ankle twists that are happening constantly when especially you are walking in difficult terrains like moraine, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे boulders है, loose sand है, scree है, etc. Then coming to the grip. If you look at this grip, you'll see all the cross connectors that are there. And another thing that you usually have to see in a trek shoe is the shoe should have a rubber sole. That is, it does not have a synthetic sole. That is because synthetic sole will slip on several surfaces while the rubber sole will help you catch the traction on all weather surfaces that you'll face in high altitude, because eventually you start hiking from a place where there will be moist surfaces, muddy terrains, and then you'll go on to the places where there is ice, snow, etc. Especially if you're going in Indian Himalayas, several times you'll have to cross few patches of ice, few patches of snow, and the terrain requires multi-purpose grip, and therefore the trekking shoe should be chosen in the similar manner. Last comes the Gore-Tex material that is there on the outside. Always ask whether the shoes is water resistant. One question that always comes to me is there any shoe which is more waterproof? So I'll clear one concept very clearly. There is no waterproof shoe as such. There is water resistant shoe. Every shoe will have its own resistance power. Okay, according to the resistance that is there of the shoe will be able to follow in the terrain that you are going in. That is number of hours that it is facing water, the climatic conditions, etc. In all those situations, the water resistance will come in use. So you choose a optimal shoe with at least some water resistance, because when you are walking in high altitude, there are chances you'll face light amount of rainfall, light showers, light snow conditions, light ice conditions, where your shoe might get wet. So when taking a trekking shoe, it is very important that you look at the grip, you look at its water resistance, you see whether it is high ankle, does it have ankle support, and get adapted to it. So when you are buying a shoe, very important factor is breaking into them. सबको पता है, नया शू लिया अगर हमने तो क्या होता है, सबसे पहली चीज शू बाइट्स होते हैं, ब्लिस्टर्स होने लग जाते हैं. ठीक है, तो ये मत कीजिए कि आप जब भी हाई एल्टीट्यूड ट्रैक को जा रहे हो, क्योंकि हाई एल्टीट्यूड में जा रहे हो तो आपको मल्टी डेज जाना पड़ेगा एक्लेमेटाइज होने के लिए. सो at that point in time, don't buy a new fresh pair of shoe and go into high altitude, because when you go with a new shoe you will end up getting blisters, and when you are trekking for multiple days and longer hours, which we usually end up doing in high altitude, there is a high chance you will end up getting blisters. So break into your shoe before you are going to high altitude. At least 2 to 3 weeks usage is necessary. उससे ज़्यादा आप कर रहे हो तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. ठीक है, आपकी प्रैक्टिस भी उतनी होगी. Of course, that is very important factor. With that, you will avoid any kind of blisters or problem with the shoe, and your sole will be the trusted one that you are carrying. Second thing that you need to carry in footwear, which is important, is sandals or Crocs. Okay, floaters that we know as. Please do not consider floaters as chappals. Okay, normal sleepers जो है, please do not carry sleepers, because these are only for your campsite or tea house uses. Okay, and when you end up going in severe high altitude, that is above 4,500 meters, you are advisable to use your trekking shoe itself when you are getting out of your tents or tea houses or the rooms. Okay, that is because it will have severe cold conditions where you will need something in your foot. Now, why not slippers but floaters or something for your ease at the campsites? That is because even at the campsites, you will have terrain around you when you are going to washroom or some other place where you will might twist your ankle, you might walk on the terrain that is slippery till your toilet tents or till where you are going outside to see a beautiful sunrise view or a sunset view. So at that point in time, it is very necessary that you have at least some support in your leg which does not slip out of your leg. That's why please do not carry slippers when you are going to high altitude, but rather use floaters, sandals, etc. Coming to next and very important parts, that is socks. You need to carry at least 2 types of socks. That is, one is your synthetic socks, dry fit synthetic socks. स्कूल में जो हम पहनते थे, इस लेंथ तक आने वाले, स्कूल में जब टीचर्स हमें इस लेंथ की शूज सॉक्स देखकर पनिशमेंट देते थे, वो सही था, especially for mountains, because if you are wearing a high ankle shoe, if in this length shoe I wear a sock still here, this part of the shoe will rub against your skin and will cause rashes, irritation, and leading to blisters in several cases. So therefore, the socks length, the dry fit socks that you are carrying should be school size. Usually we refer to school length socks that are there, which come up to your shin. So that is very necessary that you carry all of these socks that you are carrying, depending on number of days and your itinerary. Especially, this is very important that you carry extra pair also. That is because in the night when you have used the socks, which is wet from the sweat that you are walking into, it is very necessary that your feet are dry, because cold feet will lead quickly to severe cold, hypothermic reaction in your body, and you catching up the cold, fatigue in your body, and that's why it is important that you carry extra pair of socks. At the same time, it is necessary that you carry another pair of something that looks like this, a woolen sock. Okay. These things will be available for you to see in the break also. So if you want to come up and see, you can. Woolen socks. These are thick socks that are there. ये क्यों कैरी करना है? क्या हमें इन्हें पहनकर चलना है? नहीं. Usually you walk on the trails with the synthetic or the dry fit socks, and these you use for night use when the temperatures go down very quickly. When you are walking up, other than the severe high altitudes, like when you are going to EBC from Labuche or you are going for a Kilimanjaro summit push, other than that, these socks are not useful while you are walking. Synthetic socks are required because these will lead to higher perspiration out of your skin, that is higher sweating that is happening, and lead to quickly cooling up of your legs. Also, synthetic socks, when you start walking, your legs will get warmed up quickly, which will resist the cold that is there outside, and that will allow you to walk comfortably also. So the woolen socks are for the use especially at the night. So if you are carrying 3 to 4 pairs in a 16-day itinerary like for Everest Base Camp, you may carry 4 pairs of dry fit socks that are there, and 1 or 2 pairs of woolen socks which you use at the night or on the days when you are going to Everest Base Camp at the severe high altitude, or when you are going to Kalapathar. Next, coming to the next part, that is clothing. Does anyone have anything to ask in footwear particular? Anything particular you want to ask? Anyone? Okay, we'll go quickly to the clothing. Clothing is a very confusing matter for a lot of people. Do I buy the costliest jacket available, or do I buy multiple layers that are there? Do I buy it from some particular store or some particular brand, or do I use something that is available on a vendor's stall who is selling woolen jackets also? Okay, so all of that depends upon if you understand layering. Before going to clothing, we'll understand how do you layer in high altitude. This is the most important part when you are choosing anything that you are going to wear. Usually, we follow the rule of 4 layers itself for any altitude that is there. It is simple. 1, inside is your thermal layer. The base layer that comes is of thermal layer. आपको thermal कहीं भी मिल जाएंगे. You will get in multiple qualities. See as much as thin you can get so that you can pack them compactly. Okay, you'll find them in variety of categories. That is, today you get cotton thermals, you get synthetic thermals, you get 3-layered wool thermals in several stores. Try usually getting a wool thermal with micro fleece category wool thermal. Okay, next layer that is there is your t-shirt, dry fit t-shirts that are there. ऐसा टी शर्ट जो क्विकली स्वेट अब्सॉर्ब करे और क्विकली ड्राई भी हो जाए. ओके, यूजुअली हम लोग क्रिकेट जर्सीज, फुटबॉल जर्सीज एंड द स्पोर्ट्स जर्सीज दैट वी सी, ऑल ऑफ देम आर ड्राई फिट मटेरियल दैट यू गेट इन द स्पोर्ट्स स्टोर्स. फुल स्लीव especially in the high altitude, and over that a micro fleece jacket. Micro fleece क्या होता है? Everyone has this question, what is a fleece? Fleece is nothing but a sweater. Okay, sweater with a quality of different quality of sweater which are knitted together, different varieties of wool that you get. When they are knitted in a different pattern, which is the pattern of your regular clothing, not like the wool knitting that is there, it is known as fleece. But you can substitute this with a sweater or a woolen jacket that is there, a very good woolen jacket. But it is very necessary that you ensure that it is compact, क्योंकि finally वो लोड आपके बैक पर जाएगा या फिर आपको पहनना है. If it is very bulky, which happens usually with normal woolen sweaters, is that will cause irritation for you while you are wearing it, as well as for packing it into your bag. That's why we recommend usually to buy fleece jacket, because fleece jacket, the stitching technique of fleece jacket is different, and you'll find them in the compact layer that is there. Other than fleece, above your fleece jacket can be replaced with a feather jacket, down jacket, or a puffer jacket. Everyone would have seen these kind of jackets. These are usually jackets that are filled with your feathers. These can be synthetic feathers, duck feathers, goose feathers, geese feathers, based on the quality that you are getting. Based on the temperature that you are looking to go, you choose the feather jacket. So when you are in severe high altitude, you replace your fleece jacket with a feather jacket. And on the top of it, the most important layer, I would say, is a windproof jacket. Windproof jacket, अगर मैं हाथ में पकड़ूं, if you see, this is as thin as it could be. Okay, but the material outside is known as Gore-Tex material, or a wind cheater that we use usually on the bike. So why is this necessary? Usually जब आप high altitude में जा रहे हो तो बहुत ज़्यादा हवा चलेगी, ठीक है? After a point of time, there will be open valleys, there will be places where a lot of wind will come in once the tree line is going away from you, further away from you. At that point in time, it is very necessary that you put on a windproof jacket, क्योंकि जब आप warm layer भी पहन रहे हो, तो आपके layers के बीच में heat trap होता है आपके body का. It is not the sweater that is giving you heat, but your body that is exuding heat outside, and the sweaters, the layers are trapping the heat inside them. And on which when the wind comes in, the wind takes away the heat from these sweaters, the micro pores that they have in the fleece or feather jacket that is trapping the heat. Then it becomes very important to resist the wind that is coming in, the air that is coming in the severe manner, and that's why we need a windproof jacket at the end, at the top. So what did I say? The 4 layers, simple. One is your thermal inside. Above that you put a t-shirt, or your t-shirt, your track pants that are there, synthetic track pants, dry-fit track pants. Then you put on your fleece jacket or feather jacket based on the cold that is there, the persistent cold that is there at the location you are, and above that a windproof jacket. But क्या ये सब पहन के हमें रोज सुबह चलना है? नहीं. इतना सारा पहन के चलोगे तो डिहाइड्रेशन हो जाएगा, बॉडी में ऑलरेडी आपको वाटर की जरूरत है, हाइड्रेशन की जरूरत है, ज्यादा डिहाइड्रेट होगी. सो this layering system is usually for when you are at a resting place. Okay, so when you are resting down at some place, you need to put on these jackets, these layers, based on the cold that is there. Okay, when you are walking, it is very simple. Put on a track pant, put on a full sleeve t-shirt, and wear a windproof jacket. Once you start walking, your body gets warmer. Remove slowly your windproof jacket, zip it out, remove it slowly as and when your body starts sweating. And when you are resting again, put on your windproof jacket, क्योंकि आपको body heat बाहर नहीं जाने देनी है. Body heat जितनी आप बचा सको उतनी आपको बचानी है, so that you remain warm in the colder conditions. Simple. वॉक करते वक्त आपको 2 लेयर्स ही पहनकर चलना है, और आप जब रुको 4 लेयर्स. बट इज दिस द गोल्डन रूल? डू यू हैव टू स्टिक ओनली टू दिस? नहीं. साहिल हियर feels much warmer than me. He wears only 2 jackets. He wears a t-shirt and puts on a feather jacket. I look at him, wow, this is very cool. But I am feeling cold. But ये हो जाता है कि उसे देखकर कि मैं भी 2 ही लेयर्स डालूंगा यार, कुछ नहीं होगा. कोई जरूरत नहीं. The best rule is, आपको अगर ठंडी लग रही है तो आप एक और warm layer लगा लीजिए. Simple. You will know your body better than anyone else. Just remember that the way of layering, if you are wearing a jacket or a fleece jacket, that should come on the top of your t-shirt. Windproof should not be inside your fleece jacket. ये आपको याद रखना. So what all do you carry in clothing to high altitude? सबसे पहले, सबसे important, आपके t-shirts. They should be dry fit material. ड्राई फिट मटेरियल वो होता है जो क्विकली स्वेट अब्जॉर्ब करे और ड्राई आउट भी हो जाए, क्योंकि ये ज़रूरी है, आप चलोगे तो स्वेटिंग होगा, एट द सेम टाइम ये भी ज़रूरी है कि वो सूख जाए, क्योंकि आपको ऊपर जाके बहुत क्लोथिंग भी आप कैरी नहीं कर सकते हो आपके रोज चेंजिंग के लिए. Then comes track pants. Track pants are very important. Usually choose, if you'll see trekking pants that are there, which we use particularly for trails, etc. Even in Sayadris, are a little broad bottom. That is because they are comfortable. So look at the material that is comfortable for you, the fitting that is comfortable for you whenever you buy them. Don't try to get the cotton track pants because there will be thorns, there will be a lot of things that can get stuck into them which will cause irritation to you. Also, once cotton absorbs sweat, it will not dry quickly, especially when you are walking 5-6 hours on trail. That will cause you a lot of discomfort. So if you are going for in high altitude for around 6 to 7 days, 2 t-shirts are usually more than enough, and 2 track pants. Usually one pair will be more than enough. The rest of it is for the emergency when they get wet in rain or something else. This is because when you go in high altitude, you will, even if you sweat, the germs don't build up in high altitude. As you go higher, atmospheric pressure is lower, and the microorganisms do not get built in the similar manner on your sweat that is there, not causing you any kind of diseases. You'll not smell a lot also in high altitude. और अगर स्मेल आ भी जाए तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है, आप बड़ी सिस्टम में चलोगे, मैं उसे तकलीफ दूंगा, वो मुझे तकलीफ देगा, and it gets settled out. Okay, so as simple as that. Next to the track pant you carry is one fleece jacket that we had shown to you. Fleece jacket या फिर sweater jacket based on the altitude that you are going. Fleece jacket थोड़ा helpful होता है because it will be a little more compact. Micro fleece will be more compact version of it that you get. One windproof jacket. Windproof jacket is must क्योंकि it will be your one layer of covering, especially when you are walking in the lower altitudes. You'll change that to something else when you are in the high altitude. विंड प्रूफ जैकेट इसलिए भी जरूरी है क्योंकि हवा चलेगी तो वही एक चीज है जो आपको बचाएगी. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट थिंग दैट यू नीड टू कैरी इज अ फेदर जैकेट दैट इज देयर. फेदर जैकेट बहुत जरूरी है क्योंकि वंस यू गो अबव 4500 to 5000 मीटर you experience the high amount of cold which usually the sweaters or the fleece jackets aren't able to resist. These are usually made with a technology that जब हवा उसे लगती है तो अंदर के feathers फूल जाते हैं and they trap the most amount of heat. If you want best quality of feather jacket, you get goose and geese feather jackets, but they are a higher investment and you will not find them quickly in India. But other than that, up to minus 20-degree feather jackets that you get in the stores in India are also very helpful if you are going up to 5500, 5800 meters of height. Next to it that you'll require, very important, is a rain wear that is there. Most important thing, it can be a raincoat, that is your rain jacket and a rain pant, or a poncho that is there. Poncho is a very important, remember whenever you are buying a poncho, it should be of body length, that is it should reach at least below the knee and it should be able to fit your backpack usually. You'll get shorter ponchos and only rain jackets as well, but rain pants become very important also because sometimes these days we are seeing a lot of transition in the weather pattern that is there in Himalayas and a lot of disturbances. So uncertain rains are due, uncertain snowfalls are due. In such scenario, rain wear is your first line of defense against any such weather changes to make your trek comfortable even in the harshest of conditions. Other than that, the things that you need to carry in your clothing is your sun cap. At least one sun cap is necessary. Sun cap is for the use during your trekking. If you'll wear the balaclava or the monkey cap that is there, makar topi apan jela manto, if you are wearing that, usually क्या होगा कि बहुत ज़्यादा sweating होने लग जाएगी, irritation होने लग जाएगी, and you will not be able to walk comfortably. In high altitude, when the temperatures are colder, that is okay, but when you're walking below probably say 3000 meters or something and the temperatures are a little sunnier, especially in the summer, you will need a sun cap also. You also need a balaclava, as we said, the monkey cap that is there. Monkey cap is especially required. It is a compulsory thing because once you reach at the your tea houses, your campsites, your base camps, you will need them to be worn. Kyunki 3 places that need to be covered the most to stop the loss of heat. Sir will cover it in better manner also. That is your head, your chest, your hands, and your feet. That is there. the highest heat loss takes place from these areas. It is very necessary that everyone follows this rule strictly, that you cover your head at all the time. You'll see all your Sherpas who would have been thousands of times to the high altitude. You'll see all your leaders also covering their heads all of the time that is there. That is because highest heat loss will take from the head itself. So always cover your head. Along with that, do carry a buff. If you go show the buff, it is simple. You put it into your neck. बफ मल्टीपल चीज़ों के लिए आपको माउंटेन्स में हेल्प भी कर सकता है. बहुत सारी अलग चीज़ें, अगर आपकी कैप थोड़ी सी गीली हो गई, आप बफ ऊपर भी लगा सकते हो. बट सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी बफ इसलिए क्योंकि when you go to high altitude, the sun rays that are there will contain high amount of UV, especially if the conditions are snowy or there is ice that is there. In that case, UV reflection will come directly onto your face, which can cause severe diseases on your skin. That is why it is very important that you cover yourself up properly. Other than that, in clothing, you need to carry gloves that are there. First of all, woolen gloves, at least 2 pairs of woolen gloves that are there, thin woolen gloves. These are for against the cold conditions that are there. Along with that, very important to carry your 5 fingers, that is your waterproof gloves that you get. वाटरप्रूफ ग्लव्स सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी इस बात के लिए मेरे हिसाब से कि आपको स्नो में खेलना पसंद होगा तो आपको स्नो में खेलने नहीं मिलेगा. बट अदर देन दैट दे आर ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इवन इफ देर इज नो स्नो और आइस ऑन योर ट्रेल. If it is very windy, to protect your hands, if you are holding a trek pole or anything, it becomes very handy and very important. Coming to the next part after the clothing will be the other gears that you need to carry on a trail. Before that, if anyone has any doubt in clothing, what to buy, where to buy, or anything else. Yes, sir.
Do you have any recommended brands for all?
Okay. Recommended brands we'll discuss at the end. Some of them you can see outside also today. I'll discuss them at the end of the session.
You talk about trekking pants.
Yes.
Jeans are also good.
Come again?
Jeans.
No, jeans are not good. Jeans is something that will rub against your skin and will lead to rashes, blisters, etc. Yes. That is waterproof gloves that you. Waterproof gloves या 5 fingers आप अगर किसी को भी बोलोगे, they are usually wind resistant also. Gore-Tex material को खाता है. बाद के साइड में. Yes.
According to their temperature.
Yeah, usually you will see whenever you go to any brand or store, you will see temperature regulations also. Sometimes they give hollow fill also. So you can ask the store people to explain which hollow fill will be best for the temperature. So while you are choosing your trek or expedition, you can choose accordingly that what altitude I'm going, what temperatures you're going to when you study that, and accordingly you can choose your feather jackets. Yeah. Yes, sir. Come again. For legs, 2 layers usually we use is 1 fleece layer and the track pant that is there. That is usually more than enough. अगर बहुत ही windy conditions है where you are not able to go ahead with a windproof jacket, you can carry a windproof pants also that you get. पतले से pants मिलेंगे आपको rainwear जैसे that you can put on. The rainwear, the pants for the rainwear also that you get, raincoat के साथ जो pants मिलते हैं, they also come in handy in that case if you are not finding a windproof pant as such. Anyone else? We'll go to the next part then, that is your hiking gear. Okay, hiking gear, first of all that we'll see is the most important thing. आपके पीछे का आपका पहाड़ यानी कि आपकी rucksack that is there. Few things before when we consider buying a rucksack or using a rucksack, most important thing remains to be whether you are doing bag offloading or you're not doing. If the bag offloading is included, the porters will be taking your bag, but it is considering that they are also humans or the mules are also taking effort. Always pack your bag in a manner that is friendly for weight that they are carrying in. Usually they will also be carrying either duffel bags or the rucksack itself, because उसका structure ऐसा होता है कि आपका पूरा सामान compact होके उसके अंदर एक cylindrical form में बैठ जाएगा, which becomes much easier to carry. So accordingly, while choosing a rucksack, you see a few things. That is the amount of weight or amount of things you need to carry based on your trek itinerary, based on number of days that you are going in high altitude. You'll need a bag. So you see the capacity of bag, you'll find it usually in liters. So for example, if you're only going to carry your day pack, 30 liters of day pack is more than enough. जिसमें आप सिर्फ पानी की बोतल, एक जैकेट और थोड़ा सा स्नैक्स रखोगे. अगर आप पूरा सामान अपना कैरी कर रहे हो तो आपको 45 to 50 liters की एटलीस्ट बैग लगेगी फॉर अ 10 days trek that you are going in high altitude to keep all of it. If you are going to for more number of days, or if you are going on expedition, you might need bags up to 60 liters or 80 liters based on the equipment that you are carrying. Other than that, in the rucksack, you usually see if it has which loads do they have. So whenever you buy a rucksack, you usually do is this is top load, यानी कि आप ऊपर से सामान भी भर सकते हो, और इसको ही अगर आप खोलोगे रख के फ्लैट तो इसमें फ्रंट लोड का ऑप्शन भी अवेलेबल है. That is, I open from here and I'm able to fill or take out things from inside, क्योंकि बहुत handy होगा. You don't have to repack your bag again and again. So you can see these things while you are buying the rucksack. Other important thing is it has a frame at back. So आप जब पीछे हाथ लगाओगे तो यहाँ पे if you see there is a plate that is there which will adjust to your backside and share the load with you, balance the load on your back. That's why I always see if there is a support system on the back of the rucksack. Along with that, there will be adjustment straps that are there. There will be a waist loop to the rucksack. There will be a chest loop that is there to the rucksack. This will allow to share the load between your back, shoulders, lower back, etc. based on where you are going, what weight you are carrying, and you can use the same. Usually, all these mountain equipments that we are talking about, gear list that we are talking about, becomes an investment for people who want to go to treks constantly. So buying them is very important. So noticing all of these things is usually very useful. Similarly, कुछ चीजें जैसे कि बॉटल रखने की जगह होनी चाहिए सामने, अगर कुछ जाली का है, कितने पॉकेट्स है कि मैं हैंडी चीजें रख सकूं उनमें. These are a few things that you always notice when you are buying a rucksack. Rucksack is a very important thing, especially if you are growing as a trekker. We always at Giripremi appreciate people who do not take offloading and take the bags themselves, because you impact very little on the trail as much as you carry yourself. Okay. Also, you pack lower things, मतलब कम चीजें आप पैक करोगे तो आप वैसे भी लोगों पे चीजों पे इम्पैक्ट कम कर रहे हो, चीजें कम खरीद रहे हो. That is much friendlier when you are going into the mountains. That is how the mountaineering should be done. But again, it is not possible for everyone to carry directly bags on themselves. That is their physical limitation for the moment. They are trying to improve. For that starting period, you'll need two bags. One that you'll give to your porters. That is a duffel bag if you're hiking in Nepal Himalayas, and if you're hiking in Indian Himalayas, a rucksack that is there that needs to be given to the mules or the porters. And a day pack, 30 to 35 liters of day pack, जिसमें आप आपका पानी, snacks, etc. कैरी करोगे. Rucksack में always check if it is water resistance, क्योंकि आपके जो भी सूखे हुए क्लोथ्स है, आप भी अगर भीग जाओ, आपके बैग में जो सामान है वो भीगना नहीं चाहिए, ये आपको ट्राई करना है. Always use a back cover with a rucksack. It is very necessary that you carry a back cover, get a back cover for your rucksack. And at the same time, the rucksack is friendlier on your back. That is, adjustment mechanisms है उसमें. Accordingly, choose a rucksack. Next thing that is there in the gear list that we will discuss is just a second. Okay. Next thing that is there is your head torch. Head torch or a hand torch. What do you choose? It is always a very simple answer. That is your head torch. क्योंकि आप जब especially sometimes in the you have to start very early in the morning. You're going to washroom. You're going to any place else in the night. Walking around, you will need head torches, head lamps, or a torch light, because there will not be electricity at every location that you hike into in the high altitudes. It is very necessary that you carry a head torch or a hand torch. Hand torch are a little uncomfortable to be carried in high altitude or anywhere else you are going, because your hands will be a lot of time occupied with trek poles or something else. Head torch become very handy in that case. हाई एल्टीट्यूड में एक और चीज होती है कि बैटरीज बहुत जल्दी डिस्चार्ज होती है बिकॉज ऑफ लोअर एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर एंड द कोल्ड दैट परसिस्ट. So it is very necessary that you carry extra pair of AAA cells or batteries that are there for your torches. तो और उनको आप यूजुअली किसी वार्म लेयर में, मतलब आपके सॉक्स या किसी में स्टोर कीजिए, मतलब वो ऑटो ड्रेन आउट नहीं होंगे. ठीक है. Other than that, next thing that we'll discuss is your sunglasses. If you'll see Wacky, we call him Wacky. He's wearing a sunglass. अगर आप करीब से देखोगे तो एक फिल्मिंग उसके ऊपर दिख रही है येलोइश कलर की. ओके. So whenever you are going to high altitude, as we discussed before for the buff, you'll have high UV rays that usually reflects from the snow, ice, surfaces that are there, and direct impact that is happening on you. So it is very important that you have protection for your eyes as well, because buff and all your clothing will cover everything else, but your eyes remain open. So that reflection can damage your retina and cause snow blindness at some point in time if the exposure is very high, or some damage to your eye in very smaller forms that are there. So it is very necessary that you cover your eye with a proper protective mechanism, that is UV protected sunglasses. तो आप जब sunglasses ले रहे हो high altitude के लिए तो ensure कीजिए कि वो dark color में, if you're dark color या बहुत ज़्यादा completely covered हो बाजू से, ऐसे वाले sunglasses ले रहे हो. And if you're going to a height more than 12,500 or 13,000 feet, do get a UV protected sunglass, that is UV protection filming आपको sunglasses पे मिलती है. So definitely go for those sunglasses. Your eyes will thank you later. Next up, we will discuss a few other accessories, the last few things, and then we'll go to backpacking mechanism, the ABCD that we were going to discuss. Bottles that you need to carry. पानी सबसे ज़रूरी है. हाई एल्टीट्यूड में जाओगे तो आपको 3 से 4 लीटर पानी पीना बहुत ज़रूरी होगा फॉर एक्लिमेटाइजेशन एवरी डे. सो 2 types of bottle that you need to carry. Usually we carry 2 liters of water on regular basis. Sometimes you have to carry higher based on the trek itineraries. So one bottle recommended is a hard plastic that is of Nalgene material. अगर आपको Nalgene available नहीं हो रहा है यहाँ पर, so you can go for something like Tupperware, which are hard plastics. कोई भी सिंपल प्लास्टिक बॉटल्स मत लेके जाइए, क्योंकि आपको एक पॉइंट के बाद गर्म पानी फिल करने मिलेगा. आप गर्म पानी भरोगे तो मेरे पास अभी भी, मेरे बचपन में मैंने my second or third Himalayan trek, I had carried a normal bottle. I have bottle till date in my cupboard that looks like a telephone in my hand, क्योंकि गर्म पानी भरा था, मेरे हाथ में टेलीफोन बन गया था उसका. So do carry a proper bottle, and other than that, a thermos that is there, or a metal bottle which will keep the hot water for longer period of time. Especially आप रात को भर के अगर आपको सुबह पीना है गर्म पानी, तो आपको वो लगेगा लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम के लिए वो गर्म रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा ठंडा हो जाएगा. नाइलजीन या हार्ड प्लास्टिक में भी 2 या 3 घंटे मैक्सिमम नॉर्मल रूम टेम्परेचर तक का पानी होगा. आफ्टर दैट after a certain height it gets very cold, the water inside the Nalgene also. So that's why it is very necessary that you carry one thermos also. Some people also prefer bladders, water bladders that are there. Water bladders are very helpful at altitude that is up to 12,000 13,000 feet, क्योंकि वहाँ तक आप पानी मिक्स करके पी सकते हो, गर्म पानी ठंडा पानी. बट इसमें आप डायरेक्ट गर्म पानी नहीं भर पाओगे. तो अगर आप हाई एल्टीट्यूड ओवर 13,000 फीट का कोई भी ट्रैक कर रहे हो तो वाटर ब्लैडर्स आर यूजुअली नॉट रिकमेंडेड. बट इफ दे आर कंफर्टेबल टू यू, यू कैन कैरी बोथ वाटर bladder and 2 bottles with you if that is something that you want to do for the lower altitude section of the trek, that is up to 12,000 feet. Other than that, coming to the next, that is trek pole. Trek poles are one of the most important things that you should carry. Trek poles and knee support, knee braces that you get. These are 2 things that will allow you to trek for longer period of time. ट्रैक 2 ट्रैक पोल, अगर आप किलिमंजारो जाओगे कभी भी तो आपको वो एक चीज बहुत कॉन्स्टेंटली बोल रहे होते हैं, पोले पोले. ठीक है. सो आई when recently when I had gone there, my discussion with the guide was, should pole pole mean slow and steady, or should it mean using 2 poles? I think the answer is both. Slow and steady is very important when you go in high altitude, but at the same time अगर दो ट्रैक पोल है तो आपके दोनों knees पे nearly 30% of your body weight that you're putting on your knees and your legs and your feet will be reduced. So that's why it is very important that you use ट्रैक पोल. अगर आपको एक ट्रैक पोल यूज करने की आदत है कोई बात नहीं, आप एक यूज करके भी चल सकते हो, but two is something that is more scientifically better thing to do. So if you are practicing right now also for high altitude, try using two track poles. It will become much easier and friendlier for you. You yourself will see the difference. Knee support, especially descending down के वक्त बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी चीज़ है. तो usually please do carry knee support also. हम क्विकली एक चीज देखेंगे कि ट्रैक पोल कैसे यूज करना है. सो ट्रैक पोल यूजुअली टर्न अराउंड इस साइड, कीप ट्रैक पोल, ठीक है. सी ट्रैक पोल अभी ये करेक्ट हाइट पर है नहीं, बिकॉज इट इज मच लॉन्गर. मैं यहाँ पर हूँ तो मैं उस पर पूरा वजन डाल पा रहा हूँ क्या? नहीं डाल पा रहा. सेम थिंग इफ आई टेक इट अ लिटिल लोअर एंड कीप दिस एंड मेक इट 90 डिग्री ऑफ माई एंगल, इट बिकम्स मच इजियर. किसी बूढ़े इंसान को आपने अगर लकड़ी यूज करते हुए देखा होगा, आप ये समझो कि हाई एल्टीट्यूड में आप बूढ़े इंसान हो, वो सबसे अच्छी चीज है. आपकी बॉडी आपको बाद में थैंक यू बोलेगी, ठीक है. इट इज सिंपल. यू पुट कंप्लीट प्रेशर ऑन द पोल. ओके, व्हेन यू आर वॉकिंग यू पुट इट फॉरवर्ड, यू प्रेस एंड यू टेक द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. इट विल हेल्प योर बॉडी टू share the weight with your other 2 points. That is आपके दो पैर, दो पॉइंट जिस पर आप चल रहे हो, उसके साथ आपके दो हाथ भी आपको चलने में हेल्प करेंगे. So that is why it is very important how you use ट्रैक पोल. अगर आप डिसेंड डाउन कर रहे हो तो ट्रैक पोल की हाइट थोड़ी सी बढ़ा लीजिए, क्योंकि आप जहाँ ट्रैक पोल रखोगे वो थोड़ा सा नीचे है, तो इसकी हाइट थोड़ी बड़ी होना आपको हेल्प करेगा. नेक्स्ट इन द अदर एक्सेसरीज इज योर टॉयलेटरी किट. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. टॉयलेटरी किट एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत क्यों पड़ रही है आप ये पूछ रहे होंगे, बट टॉयलेटरी किट में कुछ चीजें होना बहुत जरूरी है. क्या आपको डव का साबुन चाहिए? नहीं चाहिए. आपको बहुत अच्छा कंडीशनर चाहिए? नहीं चाहिए. आपको शैम्पू भी नहीं चाहिए. आपको चाहिए सनस्क्रीन, मॉइस्चराइजर, लिप बाम एंड योर टॉयलेट पेपर्स, ठीक है. टॉयलेट पेपर्स यूजुअली सब भूल जाते हैं, इसलिए स्पेशली टॉयलेट पेपर्स. ओके, वेरी यूजफुल इन द हाई एल्टीट्यूड, क्योंकि आप जब स्पेशली इंडियन हिमालय में जाओगे जहाँ टी हाउसेस नहीं होंगे, तो वहाँ पे बायो टॉयलेट्स होंगे, ड्राई टॉयलेट्स होंगे. और ड्राई टॉयलेट्स होंगे तो वहाँ पे आप पानी का यूजेज नहीं कर सकते हो. तो पानी का यूजेज करोगे तो क्या होगा? वहाँ पे यूजुअली द पिट इज देयर, it will smell a lot because the water is being mixed with all the waste that is there. And along with that, क्योंकि एक पिट का छोटा सा सर्कल बना हुआ है, आप बहुत छोटे से सर्कल पे वॉशरूम जाके आ रहे हो, अगले वाले के लिए वो पिट थोड़ा सा सॉफ्ट होते जाएगा और वो पिट वाइड होता जाएगा. इवेंचुअली किसी को पूरा स्ट्रेच होके वॉशरूम जाना पड़ेगा, which is not friendly for everyone. So usually carry toilet papers, but don't carry wet wipes, please. क्योंकि वेट वाइप्स आर नॉट बायोडिग्रेडेबल. यूजुअली आप स्वेट के लिए भी आई हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल कैरिंग वेट वाइप्स. प्लीज अवॉइड देम एज मच एज यू कैन, क्योंकि आप अगर वहाँ पे डिस्पोज करोगे वेट वाइप्स को तो वेट वाइप्स डू नॉट डीकम्पोज. दे टेक एज मच एज टाइम फॉर अ सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक टू डीकम्पोज एनीवेयर. सो प्लीज अवॉइड टेकिंग वेट वाइप्स. यू विल नॉट स्मेल अ लॉट एनीवेयर इन द माउंटेन्स, ठीक है, क्योंकि उतना जर्म्स उतने बिल्ड नहीं होंगे किसी भी चीज़ पर आपके. अदर देन दैट सनस्क्रीन बहुत ज़रूरी है, जैसे हमने यूवी डिस्कस किया था. अगर आप 15,000 फीट के हाइट तक जा रहे हो तो 50 प्लस SPF 50 प्लस इज एटलीस्ट रिकमेंडेड. इफ यू आर गोइंग हायर, SPF 60 और SPF 80 प्लस, based on the altitude that you are going to or the trek that you are going to, you should use the sunscreen. Moisturizer is necessary to resist the cold and tearing of your skin. And lip balms and lip guard or lip balms are necessary for your lips. इसमें भी आपको आजकल UV protecting lip balms मिल जाएंगे, so using that is highly recommended. उसके अलावा आपको पैक करना है snacks. I have seen people packing snacks as if हम खाना नहीं देंगे. यूजुअली आप कहीं भी ट्रैक पे जाओगे तो आप खाने की प्लानिंग करके जाते हो. एक्सपेडिशन प्लानिंग, आप खुद भी जा रहे हो तो भी आप खाने की प्लानिंग करके जाते हो. सो कैरी स्नैक्स एज मच एज यू नीड टू चर्न और मंच while you are walking on the trails, ठीक है. If you are going to any international treks like Nepal, Tanzania or something, we recommend carrying chutney or a masala also, ताकि आपका खाना टेस्टी बन जाए, क्योंकि उन्हें इंडियन फूड की टेस्ट नहीं एग्जैक्टली दे विल बी एबल टू प्रिपेयर. Other than that, for a day, a protein bar or a chicky or some dry fruit, इनमें से कुछ एक चीज इज मोर देन इनफ. आप उससे ज्यादा चलते हुए खा नहीं पाओगे. और यूजुअली इफ यू आर गोइंग विद अ गुड ग्रुप, तो आपको पूरे दिन में अच्छे से खाना मिलेगा. You should always look while choosing your trek itineraries also, that is they have proper full board, that is they have good breakfast, hearty breakfast, proper lunch, full meal lunch, snacks, soup, liquids throughout the day, and then you have dinner also. We have tried doing this in all the trek itineraries. जहाँ पे नहीं होगा वहाँ पे आपको लीडर्स बताएंगे कि आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा कैरी करना है, क्योंकि कहीं कहीं आपको कम चीजें मिलेंगी बिकॉज इट इज इन अ रिमोट एरिया. सो अकॉर्डिंगली देन पैक. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि लास्ट डे सब लोग ब्रेकफास्ट की जगह पर अपना स्नैक्स लगा के रख रहे हैं, सबके लिए एक पूरा बुफे क्रिएट हो गया. So don't do that. It is you who will be carrying the weight. So carry that much itself. And last and very important addition, जो बहुत लोग carry नहीं कर रहे, that is a tiffin, spoon and a mug. Okay. Please make this a habit, everyone, whenever you are traveling anywhere in India, outside India, that you carry a tiffin, spoon and mug. Especially कुछ packed lunch है, आप travel में कुछ खा रहे हो, अगर disposals use हो रहे हैं, try avoid using plastics. Especially mountains में अगर आप high altitude में हो, वहाँ पे कोई waste disposal system भी नहीं है. आपको या तो आप वो carry bag कीजिए, the disposal that you are using, or try using something like mug, spoon and tiffins. Usually plates etc. are provided at all our campsites that are there in Giripremi, even in the Indian Himalayas. But these are for the packed lunch, packed dinner or something else that you are carrying, okay, or anything that you are buying on the way or in the travel. This was more or less that you need to carry in the kit list. इसके अलावा कुछ भी technical equipment, sleeping bags, tents, etc. Usually all of that we provide centrally to everyone. At Giripremi, if you have any doubts regards to that, we can discuss that about after this session also. Expeditions related या specific कोई itineraries के related where you will need technical equipment or something to be carried. Accordingly, the sessions are taken, briefings are taken on how to use them, what you need to carry. But this is the general kit list that is there. We will be sharing the PPT that I had made, which has all of this also with you all on the registered mail that you have given in the forms. Okay, you'll get that as well. All of these points are covered in it. All of these things are covered. So this is usually a kit list for high altitude. इसमें अगर किसी को कोई डाउट है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं. Anything? Yes, sir.
सर पंचो किस प्रकार का यूज करें हम? साइड में कट वाला होता है या पूरा?
Usually full body poncho अगर होगा तो वो यूज कीजिए, बट the design that is made जहाँ पे थोड़ा सा कट होता है, that is because आपकी बैग भी उसमें बैठ जाए. अगर आपकी बैग बहुत अच्छी वाटर रेजिस्टेंट है और आपके पास बैक कवर वगैरह सब अच्छे से है, तो आप छोटा poncho which is full body which fits to your body is very good. बट अगर वो नहीं है तो फिर आप थोड़ा सा कट वाला लीजिए, बट उसको अगर जिप वगैरह है तो वैसा वाला आप चूज कर सकते हो, विच इज बेटर. कि ज्यादा पानी जब आड़ा टेढ़ा बारिश आ रहा है तो उस टाइम पे भी आपको दिक्कत नहीं है. यस सर.
While walking, whether raincoat and rain pants is more convenient than poncho, or poncho is more convenient?
It is subjective to the person actually. It is your habit or the way you are walking, how you can handle your poncho or rainwear. If you are not used to ponchos, rainwear and rain pants are easier, क्योंकि उसमें पानी आजू बाजू अगर थोड़ी सी आड़ी भी रेनफॉल है तो फिर नहीं जाएगी. बट अगेन इफ यू आर कंफर्टेबल विद द ponchos, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा ब्रीदेबल होता है. रेन पैंट्स और रेन जैकेट्स आर नॉट ब्रीदेबल और बहुत ज़्यादा स्वेटिंग हो जाती है फिर उसमें. यस. एनीवन एल्स? Yes. Sleeping bags, usually you will, simple way what I was taught in my BMC AMC, बहुत debates है इसके बारे में. बहुत लोग रोल करके पैक करने बोलते हैं, बहुत लोग रोल करके हेडर में फिल करके. For both of my courses I was taught and I found that most useful to put it in the compact ways. उठाओ और ठूसो. बेस्ट, सबसे कॉम्पैक्ट पैक हो गया आपकी बैग. यस. Come again? So everyone who has specs, you can get sunglasses with the number also. आप आपके ऑप्टिशियन के पास जाइए, वो आपको करके देंगे. यूवी प्रोटेक्टेड सनग्लासेस भी करके दे देंगे. यूवी प्रोटेक्टेड आपको आपके फ्रेम्स भी करके दे देंगे. नॉर्मल चश्मे के जो है वो आपको मिलता है. yes. हाँ, एड ऑन भी मिलता है कि आप ऊपर से भी क्लिप ऑन भी लगा सकते हो. या यस, कम अगेन. Sleeping bag. It is very simple. It is very arguable between a lot of mountaineers also. I am one of those persons जिनको sleeping bag में बहुत अच्छी नींद आती है. To be honest, it is simple. आप बेड पे जाइए, आप sleeping bag में जाइए, कहीं भी जाइए, high altitude में starting कुछ मिनटों तक ठंडा ही होगा. आपकी बॉडी हीट है जो उसे वार्म अप करेगी, तो आप उसमें 5 मिनट दीजिए उसे. ठीक है, it will start getting warmer and comfortable. अगर पिलो की आदत है, पिलो तो आप कैरी नहीं कर सकते, आप सिंपल चीजें कर सकते हो. आपका जैकेट रोल करके नीचे रख लीजिए या कुछ कर लीजिए. दैट विल हेल्प यू गेटिंग इनटू अ स्लीपिंग बैग कंफर्टेबली. हाँ, दिस विल ऑलवेज रिमेन अ टास्क इन हाई एल्टीट्यूड कि उठ के हमें वॉशरूम बाहर जाना है सारे लेयर्स डाल के. वो आप टी हाउस में ब्लैंकेट्स के साथ रह लीजिए तो भी वो आपको वैसे ही लगेगा. So usually it is very important कि sleeping bag में आपका मुंह ओपन रहे. कम layers लगते हैं sleeping bag में. आप feather jacket या कुछ until and unless it is extremely cold -40 degree -45 degree आपको बहुत ज़्यादा layers पहन के सोने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Thermal and a t-shirt usually does, but again it is cold is personal something that you will face. आपका personal call है according to your body. And don't completely close your tent usually when you are in high altitude. थोड़ा सा स्पेस छोड़ना चाहिए क्योंकि वेंटिलेशन होगा. आप 3 लोग अंदर हो और वहीं पे उतना ही ऑक्सीजन उस टाइम पे वहाँ पे अवेलेबल है, जिससे टेंट बहुत वार्म हो रहा है when you are exuding carbon dioxide. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
By knee brace you mean a kneecap or something else?
Kneecap. You can get knee braces based on your doctor's recommendation also if you have some injury or something. Kneecaps are more than enough. Yes. Okay. Yes. I forgot about medical kit. Medical kit is very important. अगर आप गिरिप्रेमी के साथ जा रहे हो तो your leader will be carrying everything. You do not need to carry anything in your medical kit. Okay. Just the prescription medication. अगर आपको रोजमर्रा की कोई दवाई डॉक्टर ने प्रिस्क्राइब की हुई है तो वो आप कैरी कीजिए. अगर आप अपना पर्सनल मेडिकल किट भी कैरी कर रहे हो, फर्स्ट एड किट छोटा सा, जिसमें आप लूज मोशंस के लिए, वॉमिटिंग के लिए, फीवर के लिए टैबलेट्स कैरी कर रहे हो, सो ऑलवेज कंसल्ट योर लीडर्स एंड शेरपास, लोकल गाइड्स बिफोर कंज्यूमिंग एनी मेडिसिन एंड टेल देम, इन्फॉर्म देम, क्योंकि अगर आपको उसके बाद कुछ मेडिसिन या कुछ देना है तो दे नीड टू नो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विथ योर बॉडी और व्हाट यू हैव कंज्यूम्ड बिफोर. कोई एलर्जेटिक रिएक्शन या कुछ नहीं है. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आप बेसिक कुछ चीजें आपके साथ कैरी कर सकते हो यूजुअली, दैट इज स्क्रब बैंडेजेस, स्प्रे और समथिंग लाइक दैट इफ यू आर गोइंग ऑन हाइक्स और इन हाई एल्टीट्यूड. बट डाइमॉक्स, डेक्सामेथासोन और समथिंग लाइक दैट इज नॉट रिकमेंडेड टू बी कैरीड, क्योंकि वो आप यूजुअली आपके लीडर के रिकमेंडेशन पे ही लीजिए एंड दे विल 99% बी कैरीड. या यस यस.
जर कोणाचा पहिला ट्रेक असेल तो हिमालयात चाललाय आणि तो ऑलमोस्ट 13 किंवा 14,000 फीटवर जाणार असेल,
Yes.
आणि जर तो पुण्यामध्ये राहणार असेल तर ट्रेनिंगसाठी काय काय केलं पाहिजे?
Okay, that will be covered by Jitu Dada at the end. Very shortly to give answer to it. Train for cardio, थोड़ी सी strength training कीजिए. Treks पे जाइए. सह्याद्री are the best place to train for anything in the world. You have everything in Sahyadris to test yourself, to be honest. Yes, Jitu Dada will cover in detail. Yes. Anyone else? Come again. Dimox पे क्वेश्चन सर आंसर करेंगे, आपको गुड बोले सर, वो डॉक्टर है और वो बेटर ओपिनियन भी आपको दे सकेंगे. यस. Okay, I'll quickly give you ABCD of backpacking. That is, A is accessibility, B is balance, C is compactness, D is dryness. Accessibility मतलब जो आपकी छोटी मोटी चीजें हैं, जैसे कि आपके ग्लव्स, टॉर्च एक्सेट्रा ऊपर वाले साइड में जहाँ पे आप ले सको, क्विकली निकाल सको. बैलेंस मतलब आपका वेट, जो ज्यादा वेट होगा वो आपके पीठ के पास होना चाहिए, बीच में होना चाहिए, बैक के बीच में ना, प्रॉपर साइड पे, जो आपके पीठ को लग कर है उस एरिया में। लाइटर वेट गोज डाउन, ओके, क्योंकि नीचे वाला पार्ट थोड़ा सा लटक रहा है आपके शोल्डर और इसके साथ वो शेयर नहीं कर पाएगा वेट, ठीक है। तो आपके बैग में बैलेंस मेंटेन कीजिए कि लाइटर वेट्स आपके बॉडी से क्लोज जो एरिया है उसमें ज़्यादा वजन की चीज़ें रखिए, और खाने की चीज़ें एक्सेट्रा आप नीचे पैक कर सकते हो जो आपको एक्सेसिबल, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपको ट्रैक के वक्त एक्सेसिबल हो, क्विकली चाहिए। पॉन्चो, हेड टॉर्च, दीज आर फ्यू थिंग्स जो आपको क्विकली लगेगी, बारिश है क्विकली पॉन्चो चाहिए, तो वो ऊपर रखिए कि वो एक्सेसिबल रहे। थर्ड इज कॉम्पैक्टनेस, जो भी आप पैक करो उसे आप थोड़ा सा कॉम्पैक्ट करके भरो ताकि वो फैले ना। ऑलवेज रिमेंबर अ सिलेंड्रिकल बैग और अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड बैग विच इज देयर, दैट विल बी वेरी हेल्पफुल टू शेयर द वेट। तो ऑलवेज आप बैग पैक करते वक्त ये इंश्योर कीजिए कि आप सामान जिस हिसाब से भर रहे हो वो एक लाइन में रह रहा है, कुछ चीज़ ऐसे कम्प्लीटली बाहर आ रही है, आपने लटकाई है तो आपको थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होगा वो सामान उठाने में। एंड लास्ट थिंग इज ड्राइनेस, जो मैंने बोला था, बैग वाटर रेजिस्टेंट और उसके ऊपर बैग कवर होना, ये बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटीज है जो आपको बहुत हेल्प करेगी। ओके, I hope I did not bore you guys with a lot of details.
Thanks a lot, Ashish, for a very informative session, and I feel that everyone must be feeling very confident that they will be able to pack their bags much more effectively and efficiently. And I already feel prepared for my Himalayan adventure. So the next session is on high altitude medical challenges. We learned about the equipment or gear that is required for high altitude. But if gear protects you from weather, the knowledge will protect you from altitude. So the most underestimated part in any Himalayan trek, high altitude trek or expedition is the medical challenges that come with it. Uh, we might have almost all of us have heard this term called AMS, acute mountain sickness, but no one actually knows what exactly it is. And without knowing anything about the high altitude medical challenges, you cannot properly treat it. So for that, we have next session conducted by Dr. Raghunath Godbole. So Dr. Raghunath Godbole is a surgeon and a veteran mountaineer. For last more than 40 years, he has been working as gastrointestinal and laparoscopic surgeon at Godbole Hospital and Anand Godbole Memorial Center for abdominal diseases. He is specialized in laparoscopic hernia surgery. He has held multiple positions such as past secretary and president at Pune Surgical Society, founder secretary at BJ Medical College Mountaineering Club. Apart from that, he had held multiple positions such as honorary medical advisor, honorary secretary, honorary faculty at multiple esteemed institutions. And he's a leader, he's a photographer, and also a medical officer. He has done more than 50 treks in Himalayas and mountaineering expeditions. He is also author of 5 CD books, namely Everest Kanchenjunga, Kailas Manas, and Doctors on Everest, and High Altitude Medicine. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Raghunath Godbole.
Hello, good evening, everybody. After the knowledge about the kit and items to be carried, now it is little more theoretical, and as already told, it is little less understood or neglected subject, that is medical challenges at high altitude. Although you might have trekked in Sahyadri and faced less problems, but as you go higher and higher in the Himalayas, you will be faced with some unique medical conditions which are particular only to the high altitude. So I will be covering that aspect. High altitude definitions, as we quickly go through: sea level and low altitude is up to 6,500 feet. Then high altitude is from 6,500 to 13,000 feet. Examples are already given. First one is all Sahyadri peaks. Then high altitude is foothills of Himalaya like Sivalik. Then very high altitude is 13,000 to 20,000 feet, which is usual range for your treks in Himalaya. And there are 4,000 and 5,000 peaks and passes which you will be encountering in this particular range. Then extreme altitude is 20,000 feet to 26,500 feet. Usually only mountaineers step into those heights. and 6 and 7,000ers in Himalaya come under this range. And lastly, it is death zone, which is above 8,000 meters or 26,500 feet. All 14 8,000ers in Karakoram and Himalaya come under this death zone. Reaching high altitude is now very easy because of the vehicular travel. Example, Lukla and Jomsom in Nepal are reached by flights. Also, Leh you can go by bus or flight. Gangotri and Badrinath in Uttarakhand are reachable by bus. So, all these starting points are about, say, 9,000 feet above sea level, 8, 9. And that is the precise level where human body gets affected by altitude. Impact of altitude up to that level is not there. So body acclimatizes very slowly, but over enthusiasm and fast ascent may invariably cause high altitude sickness. So just like in marathon running, they never sprint in the initial stages. They sprint only at the last. So mountaineering trekking is more akin to marathon running rather than any short distance running uh, races. So initially one has to be very slow. That is the now this is example Lukla airstrip at the Everest region. Height is 9,200. Effects of altitude are mild in spite of reaching directly by flight. Here, the atmospheric pressure is 66%. But oxygen saturation it starts falling. It is about 90%. Next level is Gokyo Peak or Kalapathar in the same region. Height is about 17 to 18,000 feet. The effects of altitude are moderate, but trekker still can be comfortable due to proper acclimatization program. Without proper acclimatization, this comfortable stage is not possible at that altitude because atmospheric pressure is half that of sea level, 55%, while blood oxygen saturation is maintained by body still at 80%. If you compare that with summit of Mount Everest, which is 29,000 feet, effects of altitude are very, very severe because atmospheric pressure is only 33% and blood oxygen saturation is 50% without supplemental oxygen. So that is not compatible with life. So mountaineers need oxygen breathing apparatus on the summit of Mount Everest to survive. And in spite of very good climbing on acclimatization program, body cannot cope up or acclimatize at that level. So the death zone is visited for a very short time and mountaineers come back alive again after a very short time. It is not possible to stay there. This is not working. I will say next slide, so that will save the time. You do it. So in order to summarize this effects of altitude on human body, this chart is very important. At sea level, atmospheric pressure 100%, blood oxygen saturation 99% in a healthy person, effects of hypoxia or low oxygen are nil. At 10,000 feet, atmospheric pressure 66%, oxygen saturation 90%, effects of hypoxia are very minimum. At 20,000 feet, atmospheric pressure 50%, blood oxygen saturation 75%, moderate effects of hypoxia, and at 30,000 feet on top of Mount Everest, atmospheric pressure is 33%, saturation 50%, and this is not compatible with life without use of supplemental oxygen, and very short time is spent at this level. So now you must have observed that as atmospheric pressure falls from 100 to 33%, the fall in the blood oxygen saturation is not proportionate to that. Means here it is not 66 but 90%. Here it is not 50 but 75%. So this is higher than what is expected from here. And why that happens? That happens because there is a physiological process going on inside the human body, which is called as acclimatization. Next slide. Now, you must have been accustomed with this very useful gadget during the COVID times. Before that, it was used only by doctors, but now it can be used by any person. Pulse oximeter instrument on fingertip showing normal reading at sea level and low altitude. Resting pulse rate 62, blood oxygen saturation 98%. This indicates very good health and stamina. By the way, these are my readings. Even at my age of say 70 now. So this of course varies. The 62% is a sort of athletic pulse rate, but it varies from 60 to 80, and oxygen level varies from say 92 to 98. So that is normal range. Now this simple instrument is very useful on the expeditions and trek, and most probably your leader and if there is a doctor will be carrying such finger pulse oximeter. And every day evening, when your all climbing activities over, you have rested for a couple of hours. And before dinner, this reading is taken ideally of every individual by the medical officer or doctor. And I will explain the usefulness of that during prevention and treatment of altitude sickness. Next. Acclimatization is the adjustments of human body to progressive oxygen deficiency, which is called as hypoxia, at high altitudes, occurring over a period of few hours to few months. So it is a slow process. Some changes occur in body immediately after you reach an altitude, and some changes continue to happen even for months. Without acclimatization, if rapid ascent is done above 10,000 feet or 3,000 meters, that is high altitude, nobody can survive. So acclimatization starts at this level, which is called so sort of Lakshman Rekha of high altitude. However, with proper precautions and planning of the climbing program, good acclimatization is possible up to 20,000 feet or 6,000 meters. That means your low and high altitude trekking range comes under this region, and with proper climbing program and precautions, you can get very good acclimatization, and no oxygen is needed for this altitude. Poor acclimatization occurs above 20,000 feet, that is extreme altitude, and no acclimatization is possible above 8,000 meters. So that is called a dead zone. Now, ability to acclimatize varies in different individuals due to genetic predisposition, which is not in your hands. But there are developmental factors and developmental factors, but it is consistent in an individual at all times. So you are born with certain ability to acclimatize. Some are slow acclimatizers, they take more time. Some are fast acclimatizers, they take little more time. But everybody acclimatizes. All normal human body, they have capacity to acclimatize. So ability to acclimatize equal in both sexes. So there is no, fortunately, no sex differentiation, but it is less at extremes of age. So that is children below 12 years and elderly above 60 years. Now, children below 12 years should not be participating in high altitude expeditions or treks which are above 12,000 feet. Up to 12,000, they are okay. And elderly about 60 years, with aging processes, this acclimatization gradually decreases. But if a person is doing very regular high altitude trekking, then it can be maintained even up to the age of 90 years. The example is the record for Everest climbing is 86 years old Japanese fellow. So it is possible. Next slide. How it happens inside the body. There are some changes which occur within few hours to few days. So that is the initial stage of acclimatization, which is helpful for all trekking programs. Increase in the rate and depth of respiration, increase in the rate and force of heart contraction, and this causes increase in the oxygen uptake by lungs, because outside atmosphere is less in air. Body will increase respiratory and cardiac efforts. Now, this happens immediately. When you fly to Lukla, even on the first day, you will see that after walking for even 10 steps, you will feel a little breathless. So that is because body is trying to acclimatize. Now, some changes occur after few weeks to few months. So, in prolonged expeditions, especially mountaineering expeditions, why it takes 2 months for Everest expedition? Because initial almost 1 month is spent in acclimatizing to the higher altitude. And what are the changes? There is increase in the red blood cells and hemoglobin. There is increase in the bicarbonate excretion by kidneys. Means impurities are more effectively excreted by kidneys, and increase in the transport of oxygen from blood to tissues. Ultimately, oxygen inhaled by lungs has to reach all tissues of the body. So all these mechanisms are accentuated. All these changes occur at variable speeds in different individuals. Therefore, there are fast and slow acclimatizers. So that will be known by your leader and doctor accompanying by observation. Some will take little more time. Permanent acclimatization or adaptation occurs in highland people like Sherpas, Tibetans, or Ladakhis because they are living permanently at high altitude, which is more than 10,000 feet. And genetic predisposition or genetic makeup also changes at cellular level. So, for example, they have more capillaries in their muscles and they have more mitochondria in their cells. But we are not belonging to that category. This is just for information. Why Sherpas and local people perform 2 or 3 times more than you because they are born there and they are adapted for generations. Next slide. Coming to the high altitude sickness, which is unique only above 10,000 feet. So in Pune, Mumbai, and lower altitudes, you never get such illness. So even all doctors are not having experience in treating this high altitude problem. This is actually not single disease. It is a spectrum of conditions due to failure of acclimatization to progressive oxygen deficiency, that is called hypoxia, causing excess water retention in body. Basic mechanism is body retains more fluid. That is called as edema. And it has three common forms. The first one is acute mountain sickness or AMS. That is very mild form affecting whole body. But there are two severe forms, high altitude cerebral edema, HACE, and high altitude pulmonary edema, that is HAPE. HACE means affection of brain and HAPE means affection of lungs, which are vital organs. Failure of acclimatization initially causes only AMS, which is a mild and non-risky condition. Just remember that you might be facing only this much and never this. And if this condition is undiagnosed and untreated for, say, a few days, 2 3 days, then only it worsens into these two life threatening forms. Even that has some treatment, but that is very difficult and that is to be given only by a doctor. It is possible to have one or more forms at the same time in any person if especially neglected and not diagnosed. So a person can have both brain and lungs affected. But in milder form, you will see that only. There is no diagnostic test prior to the trek or expedition which can predict development of altitude sickness in a healthy, fit individual. So, not predictable by any test in Pune, Mumbai. However, those with positive stress test of cardiorespiratory function are unfit to go. Now, this particular point is especially I should say, compulsory for those who are above 40 years of age, for those who have some family history of heart or lung disease, and for those who are going above, say, 5,000 meters or 16,500 feet. So, ideally, especially above 40 people, should get this test done apart from usual fitness tests like hemogram and blood sugar. And remember that ECG at rest gives only 20% information about the heart. Stress test is a continuous ECG recording when you are asked to first walk and then jog and then run with increasing speed of the weight and with increasing inclination. So that is how they test your capacity of lungs and heart combined after putting you to a maximum exercise condition. So if this stress test comes positive, positive means bad, then you should not go to high altitude treks. And this is very important because if you have not done this and get some problem at high altitude, usual high altitude sickness can be treated, but not heart attack or asthma attack at the altitude. So this is the precaution. Next, please. Who gets, who and when this high altitude sickness develops? These are the risk factors. First one is sickness can occur at any altitude above 10,000 feet, and probably that incidence rises with increasing altitude. So, what is your maximum altitude in a given trek or expedition? Accordingly, the risk progressively increases, but below 10,000, it is not there. Rate of ascent, the most important factor, because then there is a mathematical formula to that. If daily ascent is more than 1000 feet for more than 3 consecutive days, almost every person will get altitude sickness of mild category. Why? Because enough time is not given to the body to acclimatize. So they have interspersed rest days. For example, on Everest Base Camp trek, second day is a rest day at Namche Bazaar, because before that you have trekked for 2 days and there is quite a bit of altitude gain. Then next rest day can be at Feriche. So there are 2 rest days typically on Everest Base Camp trek. Those are for allowing the body to acclimatize, and for those who are having mild symptoms of altitude sickness, this can be very well treated in that single rest day. So that is like similar काळ काम वेग गणित असं आपण मराठी शाळेत शिकलेलो असतो हायस्कूलमध्ये. तर तसं हे आहे. सो दिस इज अ फॉर्म्युला. Then level of exertion. Carrying load more than 25% of your own body weight, or climbing for more than 10 hours in a day, inadequate food and fluid, inadequate rest and sleep for less than 10 hours in a day. So these are very great precautions. Usually, a seasoned mountaineer will carry 25% of the body weight. So, say 75 kg person like me can carry 20 kg body weight, 20 kg on backpack easily. So that is for a seasoned mountaineer. For a trekker, it is usually, it should not exceed 10% of your body weight. If you are weighing 60 kg, your maximum backpack should be 6 kg only, including water and everything, so that you will not get exhausted and mountain sickness. Then this sleep is very important, because there is a tendency to say play some games and just chit chat in late hours. No, 10 hours of sleep will make you normal person next day. If that is less, and of course in usual trekking program, it is usually just 5 6 hours of trekking every day. More than 10 hours can happen only on a summit push day of mountaineering expedition. So that is exception. That is only one day, and after that you get audition. So these are some mathematical formulas you should stick to. Then weather conditions, extreme temperatures or winds or storms, that is a problem for altitude sickness. So usually your leader will take a decision of halting at the same altitude and not progressing higher. Less physical fitness of a person and genetic predisposition, they are surprisingly less important risk factors. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 are more important than this one. And lastly, consumption of alcohol, tobacco, or any addicting drug is strictly contraindicated, not to be done on trek, because they give false sense of security for very short period. For example, consuming a peg of alcohol will make you feel warm, but that is because blood is diverted from vital organs inside to the skin level. So actually, it is not good for health. Anyway, so these are the precautions, risk factors. Next, please. Acute mountain sickness. What happens? There is an oxygen deficiency in the atmospheric air, hypoxia, which will lead to less oxygen inside the body. Then it will lead to acid, base, and water electrolyte imbalances in the body. There are certain balances which are disturbed. There will be excess fluid retention in various tissues of body, which is called edema. Therefore, you will get swelling of the face. It causes bloated appearance only, but that is not risky. Then there will be swelling of hands and feet. This may cause clumsiness of the movements, but still it is not risky to the life. But swelling of the brain, that is cerebral edema, and swelling in the lungs, that is pulmonary edema, is what is risky to the life. Next. This is recognized by certain symptoms and signs. and there is a difference. Symptom means what you feel and express, and sign is what is found in your body after examination by other person. So symptoms are you have to recognize your own symptoms and express them with your partner or with the leader. And there are 9 symptoms of this acute mountain sickness. One is headache, which is mild and intermittent. It is a throbbing type of headache and more in lying down position. Then there is nausea, loss of appetite causing reduced intake of food. Then there is fatigue, feeling of tired on accustomed activity. Means the activity which you can easily perform here, say you can climb Simosod in 1 hour. So that is your performance at this level. But at that level, you reduce it by half. And still by doing that, if you are getting too much fatigued and breathless, that means acute mountain sickness is starting in your body. Dizziness, you will feel lightheadedness unnecessarily. Then sleeplessness, disturbed intermittent sleep, and sometimes very wild dreams, which you have never experienced at your Pune Mumbai level. Then mood changes, easy irritability, which is noticed more by your partner than yourself. Then dry cough, you are short of breath, but it is usually without any product or sputum. Mild breathlessness, that is short of breath on accustomed activities that we have seen, and cyclical breathing, which is very typical, especially during night. There are periods of rapid breathing alternating with periods of total pause of respiration. So that time you are awake, and fast breathing is not very anxiety producing, but there is sometimes a pause for say 30 seconds. You are not able to take the next breath, so you feel that it is something very dangerous happening to body. But don't worry, this happens, and after certain accumulation of carbon dioxide level, then you take next good long breath. So that happens especially during the sleep, but that is symptom of early mountain sickness. So it is not life threatening, but it should be reported. These are the symptoms. You may not get all 9 symptoms in a single individual, but at least 3 of these symptoms happening means it is the start of mountain sickness. So such person should report the symptoms to leader or doctor of the expedition or group. And what is the role of that person? Measuring these things. Tachypnea means resting respiratory rate more than 25 per minute. Usually, normally it is less than 20. Then resting pulse rate, which is equal to heart rate, is more than 100 per minute. Normally it is 60 to 80 only. And this is resting. Of course, during walking, these will be higher, respiratory rate and heart rate. But these are measured in the evening after finishing your activity and some amount of rest. So resting, and there will be hypoxia, which will be measured by a pulse oximeter. Now, remember this thing, resting oxygen saturation more than 10% lower than what? Average reading of the group of members not suffering from any symptoms, indicating their well acclimatized status on that day at that altitude. So, this is not given in any book, this is my own formula. What does it mean? Suppose you go to Namche Bazaar, or group of 10 go to Namche Bazaar. 10 people are not having any symptoms, and their readings are taken. They are never like Pune readings. No? In Pune, oxygen saturation is above 95%, but at Namche Bazaar, it will be 88 or something. It will be below 90. That is expected at that level. And you take reading of all 10. Those having symptoms should be more carefully, their readings should be more carefully taken. So those who are not suffering from any symptoms, suppose their group average of pulse rate is 92 per minute and average oxygen saturation is only 88 per minute. So that is taken as normal for that altitude. It is never normal like Pune, Mumbai. That is the thing. And if somebody has readings which are more than 10% abnormal, means oxygen saturation of group, healthy people is 88, but somebody has only 82. So that is more than 10% less than the average. So that person is having acute mountain sickness, because that person may not have all symptoms, and that person may hide the symptoms for the fear that next part of the trek or expedition will be cancelled for that person. So sometimes symptoms are hidden by the person. So that should never be done. But symptoms may vary from person to person. The findings or signs, they don't lie. They are more dependable. So this is the importance. More than 10% abnormality than the average normal group, then that person has that early sickness. Next slide. How this acute mountain sickness is prevented? Gradual ascent above 10,000 feet, climb slowly and steadily. Very important. Don't rush or race. Average daily ascent of 1,000 to 1,500 feet for 2 to 3 consecutive days, and there is a rest day at the same altitude on every third or fourth day. So this is the planning of expedition, which will be done by your organizers. But that is very important. If ascent exceeding 2,000 feet is inevitable on any one day, then staying at the same altitude for one more day is recommended. If reaching directly above 10,000 feet by vehicle or flight, going to Leh by flight, going to Lukla by flight, then resting at same altitude for at least one more day and consider using preventive dose of acetazolamide or Diamox once a day, one day before and few days after. Now, this is to be explained a little further. When you reach Lukla on the same day, you start your trek. That is because that first day is more of a downhill rather than uphill. So you are remaining at the same altitude and it is only 4 hours. So that's why on reaching Lukla, there is a trek day which starts on the same day. But if you go to Leh directly by flight, then same night and one more night is to be spent in Leh only. That is because it is 11,000 feet above sea level, and 2 days and 2 nights are required for all average human body to acclimatize. So in Ladakh, no trek starts for first 2 3 days. It is only just local sightseeing in Leh and staying at Leh. While on Everest Base Camp trek, day starts on the same day of because flight is early in the morning and you can say reach there by 9, and by 1 p.m. you reach the first destination, which is rather lower than Lukla and not higher than Lukla. Climb, and if the trek is all above that and inevitable, there is no such gradual ascent program, then only this is called as prophylactic dose of Diamox. Most of the treks in Ladakh, or in Tibet, because also the Kailash Manas expeditions are there, which are directly you reach Tibetan plateau by air. So such conditions, Ladakh or Tibet trek, they only require every individual to take preventive dose of Diamox, that is 250 milligram every day at the time of breakfast, but it is followed by minimum 3 liters of fluid in whole day. Then only that Diamox is helpful in avoiding the altitude sickness. But all treks in, say, Uttarakhand or Nepal, there is no need of taking prophylactic Diamox for anybody. So this is exception is when you reach very high altitude and start trekking, like only Ladakh and Tibet. I will explain the role of Diamox in treating altitude sickness, but this is called as prophylactic dose of Diamox. Then climb high and sleep low principle, which is followed usually by all climbers. Altitude of night camp should be lower than the highest point reached during that day's total climb whenever possible. So if there is total gradual ascent, then on after reaching, you climb say about 100 meter or 300 feet on a nearby hillock and then come down and then sleep. In some trek days, there is automatically happening because in between there is a high point and you descend. But if there is not such high point, then after reaching, you don't go to tent or room and immediately sleep, but have some activity. It is only about 100 meter or 200, 300 feet, not more than that. So that helps the body to get more acclimatized. Last 3 points are they are for you to observe. Adequate hydration, minimum 4 liters per day. This is a standard for say a person weighing more than 80 kg, but this should be at least 3 liters of fluid for every one of you per day. and it should not be plain water, but it should be water with electrolytes. So usual practical division is 1 liter of plain water, 1 liter of water with electrolyte powder mixed with it, and 1 liter calculated by say your tea, coffee, soup together. So 3 liter is the bare minimum fluid intake every day. So it is easy to say, but not very easy to follow, because at high altitude, natural thirst is not happening like in Sahyadri treks. So if you can consume 4 liters, it is better. It is better to err on higher side than lower side. And by doing that, you may have less of a solid food intake. That is okay. Fluid gets priority over the solid food. Then adequate nutrition is minimum 3000 kilocalories per day, and it should be mainly carbohydrates. So it is a misconception that you should have a very high protein diet on the trek, because say oily products means lipids and proteins. Body requires more actually calories to digest that, and they are not ready calories. So carbohydrates are more important. So your diet on the trek should be more like rice, potato, sugar, jaggery, everything. Everything which you avoid here for weight control should be freely taken on the trek, so that you can enjoy chocolates, jaggery, sugar, everything. Because you don't consume more of a, so usually your trek food will be vegetarian food and simple food, and it will not contain non-vegetarian food. Exception is eggs. Eggs are very easily digestible, simple proteins. Adequate rest and sleep, minimum 10 hours per day, and in slightly head up position. So that will avoid congestion of head and lungs. They will perform better. So 10 hours is very important, because in your daily routine, you hardly sleep, not even sleep 8 hours in a night. But on trek, 10 hours of sleep will make you fresh next day. If you don't do that, you will be exhausted right in the beginning next day. Next slide. If at all by all these measures somebody gets acute mountain sickness, how it is treated on the trek? Number one is do not ascend. Rest for 1 to 2 days at the same altitude. Remember, this is the only good and effective treatment. It has happened because of the fast ascent. Treatment is no ascent. Drink plenty of warm fluids with electrolytes so as to pass frequent and light straw colored urine. Scanty dark urine means dehydration. Drugs, acetazolamide or Diamox, 250 milligram. Now prophylactic or preventive dose was once a day. Now it has to be given twice a day. It will increase urination and respiration, thus accelerating the natural acclimatization process without masking the symptoms. It may cause disturbing side effects like tingling of hands and feet and sometimes even face, which is non-life threatening. And it very rarely there are allergic reaction to those who are allergic to sulfur. So allergic to sulfur people should not take Diamox. But for Diamox, there is no life-threatening side reaction. And even if you get tingling around your mouth, it is not paralysis. It is just a side effect, but it is very useful drug. Then paracetamol or crocin 500 milligram twice daily can give relief from headache, and domperidone or Donstar 10 milligram thrice daily can relieve your nausea. But remember, this is the drug. Don't directly take these two drugs, because they are not addressing to the root cause of the altitude sickness. Ascend gradually if symptoms disappear by above treatment and after stopping order. So a person with acute mountain sickness doesn't mean that rest of the expedition is over for him or her. But 1 day of rest, 1 day of this treatment, and next day without drugs, that person is normal, then ascent is possible. Okay. Descend rapidly for 2000 feet if symptoms persist after treatment. Treatment means this treatment. And still person is breathless, his oxygen saturation is less than normal. Then that means that treatment is not enough at that altitude. Then descent is the only physiological, and descent is not few hundred feet, but it is at least 2000 feet in a day. So that can be, so that is not possible for that person to do. So help of a porter back, help of a stretcher, help of a pony, or in extreme conditions, helicopter rescue. All these methods, and you have to always err on safer side. Means some over treatment and more descent is life saving, because there are examples where with acute mountain sickness like this, people have taken that person to higher altitude. Next day it may be 2000 feet higher, and then it develops into severe forms of HAPE and HASE, and then there is a death staring at that person unless rapid evacuation is not done. Remember that helicopter rescue is not always possible, especially in Indian Himalayas. You don't think of helicopter rescue because it is not available. In Nepal, of course, with good payment, helicopter rescue is available even from Camp 2 of Everest. So don't depend on helicopter rescue. You have to diagnose and treat acute mountain sickness well in time, then it is not life threatening. If there is a response to treatment, reascend gradually only if symptoms are totally vanishing after the treatment. So that means you might be 2 days behind the normal schedule of the group. So in Everest Base Camp Trek, it has happened. I have gone there as a doctor and as a solo trekker also many times. So if there is some mountain sickness for in an individual and he or she is treated for 2 days, that means that person can complete 80% of the trek, but cannot go to Kala Pathar or Everest Base Camp. That is well and good. Sir Salamat to Pagdi Pachas. So that doesn't mean that all persons with acute mountain sickness need to be evacuated immediately to Kathmandu. So with this treatment, some further trek is possible. Next, please. Now these are the three pillars of AMS treatment. Warm water in thermos, electrolytes like this. Now remember that electral per se is not very palatable and very pleasant for this, but there are orange flavors and lemon flavors now available. So you should take those flavored electrolyte solutions, and of course Diamox added in the treatment of acute mountain sickness. Next. Three golden rules of AMS diagnosis and treatment. Rule 1: if you feel unwell at high altitude, it is acute mountain sickness or AMS until proven otherwise. Don't ascribe your symptoms to, say, change in food, change in weather, because change in food and weather is always there on the trek. So if you have a headache, if you have certain nausea, you are not eating well, then it is AMS, it is not any other condition. Rule 2: never ascend with any symptoms. Don't hide symptoms due to ego, shame, or peer pressure. Very important. Report immediately. Rule 3: if your symptoms are worsening to haze or HAPE, descend immediately till you feel well. That means descent might be 2000 feet, 4000, or 6000 feet even. This means descent even at night, descent in bad weather or adverse terrain, and also abandoning the further trek or summit attempt. So rule 3 is very rarely happening because you and your guides will be sticking to these two first rules, and then rule 3 you will never are forced to uh, do. Idea of three golden rules of high altitude sickness were originated by Dr. David Slim, he was running this clinic in Kathmandu long ago. It is okay to get AMS, nothing shameful about that, but it is not okay to die from it. That is a saying by Dr. Peter Hackett. These are all doctors who have a lot of experience of treating this AMS in, especially in Nepal. So, next slide. After finishing this acute mountain sickness, I will be covering other conditions which are less risky and more common. But if there are any questions about acute mountain sickness, I would like to answer just now only, because at the end it will be jumbling of too many topics. Any query about acute mountain sickness? Because that is the most important thing on altitudes. Yes.
You have said the descent should be done after the treatment of MSF if it is not treated, or the person not get better.
Response. Yeah.
So, for how many days or how many hours we should wait there?
acute mountain sickness diagnosed in time will require treatment of 1 day only. Now, suppose in Everest Base Camp Trek there are 2 rest days already where members are likely to get some mild, so that is automatically taken care during your climbing program. But suppose it happens any time not in those 2 rest days, then of course there is a problem that with that person, because that person needs to be at the same altitude for one more day and group has to go ahead. So there is a, that is more of a, say, a logistic program to be arranged by organizers. With a affected person there should be one buddy or fellow who is not having AMS, because that person's care is taken by other person. So that fellow or person has to stay with that affected person, and there has to be some shelter there, means a lodge owner or say one porter or guide should remain with that, because that treatment is second day. If person is normal, then person can ascend. So that means separation from the main group, but that is very much necessary sometimes, and there should be no hesitation. So whenever I was organizing any group to, or still I am organizing, I define the pairs right in Pune, because on the trek it happens that one person is having some symptom, that person has to stay at the same altitude. Nobody is ready to stay with him or her. So pairing is very important, and that has to be defined in Pune only. Who should be, so pairing is also important because those are the tent mates or roommates throughout the trek. So they look after each other. Suppose some person is having, say, loss of appetite and not eating well, not sleeping well, that person may not report, but the partner reports to the leader that this person is having some trouble. So pairing is very important, and the pair should be defined before the trek. Okay, so treating the person with AMS may require 1 or 2 days. That means separation from the main group. So that has to be provided by this method. One normal person staying with the affected person, and one from the support staff should be there with the person. And then it is possible to treat and do some further ascent and further trek. Otherwise, descend to the beginning point. That can also, so that decision is to be taken by those who are separated from the main group. Now we go to some other topics which are separate from acute mountain sickness. Any query? Yes.
With 2 months we go for the EBC. Is there something we can do at this altitude to reduce chances of AMS? And second is related question is we got about pranayama and various breathing techniques. Can you explain medically how it works?
Now, pranayam means breathing exercises. If you are doing daily, apart from your walking and some gym training, it is definitely useful in getting acclimatization. There are certain studies, it is helpful. Actually, all types of exercises are helpful to build your stamina. There are, that is a different topic altogether, but pranayam and even meditation, they are useful in prevention of high altitude or acute mountain sickness. That is number one. And technically now in Pune and Mumbai, there are hypoxia gyms where training is possible by simulating the conditions which are there at the higher altitude. Means in hypoxia gym, they can lower oxygen in the air gradually, and they can even reduce the atmospheric pressure gradually. So conditions at 10,000 feet are possible to simulate inside the gym. So they are called hypoxia gyms, and now mountaineers are using that technique because that helps your body to acclimatize. Already your body is acclimatized before actual undertaking of the climbing expedition. But these things are not required for usual treks. Usual trek requires your mental and physical preparation and stamina. So that is very well possible by doing, say, aerobic exercise like walking, jogging, swimming, cycling, and some strengthening exercise like PT exercise or gym exercise. So if you want to do over and above that, this hypoxia gym is now progressively being used. So that is more for mountaineers going above 20,000 feet, not for this usual treks. And,
People with sulfur allergy, what is the way of what is the treatment for it?
no, even those with sulfur allergy. Now, sulfur drugs are very little used nowadays. So, best thing is you take one Diamox tablet in Pune under supervision of your family doctor, because Diamox will not have any life-threatening reaction, just like say it can happen with sulfur drug or penicillin. So, it might be little more reaction to that in case of in the form of skin rash or some tingling numbness around your. So, I have not seen severe reaction to Diamox in any of the persons. I have now looked after hundreds of people on trek. So better to take one Diamox tablet in Pune and see, and it will produce more urination. Nothing else will happen. Sometimes you will get tingling numbness in hands and feet, especially if you are not drinking enough water. So 99% people are not allergic to Diamox, but if certain person has strong family history of having sulfur drug allergy, then instead of Diamox, uh, dexamethasone, that is a steroid drug, which is a different drug altogether, that has to be used, and no Diamox. But instead of Diamox, there is another tablet called Lasix, which is little stronger than Diamox, but you can take half tablet of Lasix instead of one tablet of Diamox. So these things are taken care by doctor of the expedition and not experimented by yourself. But you can test by taking one Diamox tablet in the morning in Pune and see what happens, and inform your family doctor that I am taking this. In case of any problem, you can report, and just by giving simple steroid injection, those reactions can be, they are not life threatening. The main thing is. Next, there is a topic of thermoregulation. No, the one slide previous. What is thermoregulation? It is maintenance of the normal body temperature, which is 37.5 degrees or 97.5 degrees Fahrenheit. It is needed for optimum function of all organs in the body. It is regulated by biological thermostat in the brain. It is maintained by insulating fat layer below the skin. Hence, thin people are more susceptible to heat and cold exposure, and they need more protection. Trekking and mountaineering expeditions can cause hypothermic or cold injuries and hyperthermic or heat injuries also. Next slide. Now here you are seeing plumes. Snow plumes on the summit of, this is Dronagiri mountain, but that indicates very high wind chill factor, which can cause hypothermia. Suppose temperature outside is say 4 degrees centigrade, but there is high wind more than 40 kilometers per hour. So effectively it is like minus 4 degrees centigrade. That is called as wind chill factor. And wind chill factor is also important for hot air. So this is a track in Tibet where, previous slide. This is a track in Tibet in the afternoon. Say there is hot wind on high and barren Tibetan plateau, and if you are walking on this, you can get hypothermia or fever-like condition also. So both extremes are dangerous to human body. Next, we'll see hypothermia first. Exposure to cold weather, wind, rain, snow, and ice. Wind chill factor, which I have already explained, cold weather plus strong wind causes rapid cooling of the body. If there is inadequate fluid, food, or clothes, it will happen. Excessive activity and exhaustion will also cause hypothermia. Now, what is the effect on the body? There is a shivering, which is a normal response of the body. There is involuntary muscular contractions in order to produce heat in the body. So, shivering is the commonest symptom. Peripheral vasoconstrictions means reduced blood flow to your limbs. They feel very cold. Absence of sweating for conservation of the body heat, and increased appetite, increasing the calorie supply of the body. So these early symptoms, shivering, more appetite, and no sweating, should caution you about the hypothermia. Next. Now there are two types of hypothermic injuries or cold injuries. One is called as frost nip and other is called frostbite. Nip means just chewing lightly. Bite means chewing hard to cut the tissue. Okay, so cold can nip and cold can bite. And especially it is only in the peripheries like fingers and toes and sometimes nose tip. So we will see frost nip first. Hypothermia is mild. Hands and feet are cool and pale. Sensations are reduced. Movements are also reduced. Treatment is warm air and massage. Injury effect is very reversible if you diagnose it at this stage, and amputation like things are avoided and never required. Where if frostbite happens, hypothermia is very severe, then hands and feet are cold and blue, sensations are absent. If you touch, your person will not feel anything. There are no movements. Treatment is warm water and followed by drying of the part and splinting means immobilization. But still, injury effects are many times irreversible, and some part of the finger or toe will become black and dead, and amputations of that part are required after coming back from the expedition. So, this is just for your knowledge. In your routine high altitude treks, even you may feel frost nip part sometimes, and immediately you recognize, protect, and rewarm so that frostbite will not happen. In higher altitude expeditions, mountaineers have to be specially careful about not removing the gloves in the wind or high altitude. And after reaching the campsite, your shoes and socks are removed, feet are dried thoroughly, and then warm socks are woolen socks are worn for the night. So care of the feet every day after reaching campsite, especially in the higher altitude and tents, is very important. But all those treks which are happening in the lodges or tea houses, then you are immediately protected inside the warm atmosphere. So no worry of frostbite. Next. These are the photographs. This is the frost nip of all ten fingertips, totally reversible condition, never needing amputation. And this is frost nip of toes. So you can dip in warm water. Remember, never hot water. It is just water which is above normal body temperature. Dip them, and after removing, make them thoroughly dry and cover them with woolen socks or hand gloves. Next, this is the treatment of frost nip. But in spite of that, see, these things can happen. This is frostbite of fingers, the tips are black, and frostbite of the toes, where amputations will be necessary after coming back from the expedition. Next, please. Hyperthermia. Causes are exposure to hot air or sun, and when especially there is no wind, inadequate fluids, food, clothes, excessive activity, and exhaustion. Effects are muscular relaxation and weakness. It is opposite to shivering because now body wants to cool itself down. So this is called a hypotonia, means you will not feel like moving your hands and feet. There is a peripheral vasodilatation for more blood flow to the limbs. There is excessive sweating. This is mechanism to cool the body, and there is increased thirst for supplying more fluids to the body. Next, please. So again, there are two grades of hyperthermic or heat injuries. One is called as simple heat exhaustion, and other is called as heat stroke or sunstroke. So actually, this is more common in Sahyadri and also in the dry plateau of Tibet or Ladakh. Normal Himalayan treks with good tree cover, this heat stroke will not happen. But you have to know that thing, heat exhaustion is hyperthermia is mild, your body temperature is just above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, hands and feet are warm and wet, symptoms are nausea and lethargy, treatment is by cool drinks, wet sponging, like you do for a fever person in home. Effects are reversible and survival rate is very high, means it is not life threatening. But if it is not recognized and further pushed to same conditions, then heat stroke can happen where hyperthermia is very severe, body temperature rises above 105 degrees Fahrenheit, hands and feet are very hot and dry. There are other symptoms like vomiting and semi coma. And treatment is immersing in the cold water except your face and head. Whole body is immersed in cold water, immediate cooling. Effects are irreversible sometimes, and survival rate is very low, means death can occur. Next, please. Next slide. So, what are the general safety measures on treks and expeditions? These are very important. After knowing all those medical details, this is the carry home message for you. Don't run. Walk at constant, steady speed, which is unique to you. There will be difference of many feet between members of the group, but you walk at your own steady speed or pace. Don't walk for more than 10 hours a day. Don't carry more than 25% of your body weight as a backpack load. That is for mountaineer. For trekker, don't carry more than 10% of your body weight. And that is called as essential survival kit. Your poncho, 2 liters of water, some good sweet snacks, hand gloves, that's all, and one napkin, whatever. So it will usually weigh 5 to 6 kg, including your light backpack. And that's what normal trekker carries. All other things are given to porter or pony. Don't swim in any water body, pond or river, however inviting it is, because unknown water is a danger and it exposes your body unnecessarily to cold. Don't drink unboiled or unfiltered water. That is for your organizer to take care of. Don't eat excess of non-vegetarian food, and don't consume alcohol, tobacco, and any addictive drug in any form. So this is the carry-home message for all. Now there are certain very minor points about the common minor injuries. Blisters. Blisters on feet result from repeated rubbing of skin against too tight or too loose shoe or boot, causing fluid-filled bubbles under the skin, like this. Prevention is avoid brand new shoes or boots. Use thin inner and thick outer socks at higher altitude, otherwise only single sock. Use antifungal powder on feet every day after after completing your trek. That will keep the feet dry, as well as antifungal, because of the sweat there is a chance of fungal infection and not bacterial infection. So instead of normal body powder, you carry antifungal, antibacterial powder, which is available with the chemist. If you get the blisters, treatment is never prick and open the blister, because it is the ideal natural dressing provided by your body. Use adhesive tape like banded strip over the blister and change it every day. Subsequently, after a few days, it will settle down on its own. If you prick it and open it, there is a chance of infection going in. So use simple use of bandage and use topical antibiotic cream and dressing if blister breaks open and it doesn't heal, because it will take about 1 week to heal. So initially bandage and afterwards antibiotic cream with a dressing. Next, minor wounds can happen on the trek, like small cuts or abrasions or burns. They are quite common. Treatment is wash immediately and thoroughly with clean water. That whatever drinking water is available with you, wash it clean, and maybe antiseptic solution if you have Dettol or Savlon, you put few drops in that water. But if that is not available, simple water is good enough. Apply antiseptic ointment and dress with sterile pad and bandage. Change dressing whenever it gets wet, either from inside or outside. There is no need of change of dressing every day. Simple antiseptic ointment is like soframycin or betadine. Small tube is available. Analgesics or antibiotics by oral being, they are not necessary for minor wounds. Wound healing is slightly delayed due to oxygen deficiency at higher altitudes. And tetanus toxoid half ml intramuscular injection should be taken by all mountaineers or trekkers once every year to have full protection against tetanus. Because even some minor wounds, if they are happening in presence of rusted iron or in presence of dust, which contains dung of yak and horses, so that is those things contain tetanus spores, and that can cause tetanus not immediately but after a few weeks after the injury. So this is very important thing. And in your initial program, triple and that is already covered. But in adult life, all workers in the factories and all outdoor sports person should have once a year tetanus toxoid taken from your family doctor. So even now you take it 1 month before the actual trek, it will protect you because it will be booster dose. All of you must have taken tetanus early in your life, but this is very important and you make it a point to take this. Next. This is simple first aid box. As already told by organizer, it is not necessary to carry by every individual, but you may carry with you banded strips, at least 5 on the trek, because they are the common things needed for, say, blisters on the feet or small injuries. So apart from that, but if at all you want to carry, it is antiseptic liquid, antiseptic ointment, cotton gauze pads in sterile bags, simple and crepe bandage, adhesive tape and sticks, and scissors and safety pins. This is the simple first aid box, apart from medicines and all that. Next. Now, preventing medical problems at a high altitude. This is already covered. No, headlight is better than handheld torch. Small folding pocket knife is safer than any other big knife. And blowing whistle is a must, which is easier than yelling. If you get separated from the main group because of the whiteout or anything, there should be one whistle, plastic simple whistle with you in the pocket. So you blow that whistle and it will be heard over a long time. And there has to be understanding that if nobody should whistle it just for fun. Okay, so one you can have the understanding that 2 whistles consecutively. That means somebody is having some problem and separated from the group or trek route. Then there are skin problems at high altitude, ultraviolet radiation, extreme temperatures, etc., etc. Sunburn, more on the face. Prevention is by cover all body parts by proper full-sleeved clothes. So in preparation part, it was mentioned T-shirt. T-shirt means it is half sleeve. So it should not be half sleeve anytime, even if weather is very temperate and normal in the beginning of the trek. Always cover with full sleeves. Otherwise, even your forehand skin will get damaged. So it may be one layer only, but full cover of hands and feet. Don't trek in shorts and t-shirts. That is better rule. This is prevention, and treatment is apply body cream or white petroleum jelly to avoid friction. Body cream means a simple Nivea body cream like that. Apply chapsticks to the lips and sunscreen with skin protection factor 15 to 30. Nowadays they recommend more than 50. Okay. Ear, nose, throat, and dental problems. Exertion and mouth breathing produces dryness of mouth and sore throat. Use throat lozenges and hot liquids. Cover the mouth and nose by mask in the wind. Cold winds commonly cause excess of nasal discharge, that is rhinorrhea, and dry mouth, which is called as khumbu cough in Everest region, because it sounds like khumbu. Okay, so that will happen with every person, but preventive methods are good that cover the with very thin cloth and take warm liquids. Don't drink cold liquids. And if there is a blocked nose, you can use nasal drops, decongestant. High sugar diet, dehydration, and infrequent brushing during the trek may cause dental caries and gum infection. So rather than causing, if you are having any teeth and gum problem, better to get it checked and treated before going on the trek, because that will get aggravated. Small caries will get aggravated too, and even simple severe toothache can discontinue your trek because there is no very good treatment available on the trek except taking, say, analgesic tablets. So dental checkup and correcting minor things before the trek is advisable. On trek, you may have to take antibiotic and analgesic. Next, please. Eye problems already covered. Good sunglasses with UV protection is required. It should be having a sling, because many times your only goggle can fall down and get, so it has to be with the sling. and it should protect the sides. Many fashionable goggles are good in the front and they are open from the sides. So it has to be side protective also. If at all there is excessive exposure to the ultraviolet rays at the altitude, prevention is of course by glasses, but treatment, if you get it, chloramphenicol ointment pad and cover the eyes with pad. So that means if you get even mild snow blindness, you cannot pursue with the further plan of your trek. And it is actually inflammation of only outer layer, that is conjunctiva. But once it develops, it takes about 1 week to settle down. And very famous example is oxygenless ascent by Reynold Messner and Peter Habeler on Everest. So in order to film that, Messner removed his goggle for 15 minutes and took video, photo and all photos. And then he got snow blindness. And it was because of only Peter Habeler, who was in a healthy condition, he escorted him down. Otherwise, just snow blindness can cause death in the mountain. Okay. Now, those who are having laser refractive surgery, number reducing surgery to the eye, they are not supposed to travel above 12,000 feet for a certain period. So you have to check with your ophthalmologist if such refractive correction surgery is done. At least that year you should not go to trek above 12,000 feet. Some people might have retinal hemorrhages affecting vision. It usually improves if it at all happens on the trek. But retinal detachment is if anybody has history of retinal hemorrhage or retinal detachments, means any disease affecting retina, then going above 12,000 feet is not recommended. So consult your eye specialist. Next. Musculoskeletal problems at high altitude, I will not cover it much because these are simple, common sense things. Neck strains avoided by C-shape air pullover while shaping, shoulder back strain avoided by use of good waist strap for your backpack. Knee strain is reduced by kneecaps. Pair of trekking poles. Now he told you to carry one trekking pole minimum, but I will strongly recommend, even for younger people, use two trekking poles for all treks. That is like converting a biped animal, means human being, into a quadruped animal, four-legged animal. Of course, four-legged animals have equal distribution of their body weight on all fours, say 25% on each. But by using two trekking poles, 75% of the thing is through your spine and all the lower body joints, while 25% work is done by shoulders and hands. So, uh, when I started trekking, it was say like a taboo to use sticks. So it was looked upon not in a very good sense, but I used them very regularly from my age of 40, which was my starting age in Himalayan mountaineering. And because of the constant use of two trekking poles on all treks, I have been doing same type of activity at my age of 70. So don't be ashamed of using sticks or poles. They are normal gadgets to be used, and two are much better than one, because one trekking pole means it is only used for some difficult step and only for maintaining the balance, but two are like your two front legs. Okay. A set of stretching exercise in the evening will help a lot in relieving total body strain, because your climbing up and down requires only certain set of muscles and joints in action. But after reaching and maybe before dinner in the evening, simple PT exercises which you have learned in the schools, just for 10-15 minutes is very good for maintaining your fitness. Please. This is important. Almost last slide. Psychological aspects at high altitude. Now there are two attitudes in mountaineering and mountains. Mountain is an enemy to be conquered by any available means and possible methods so as to create climbing records. This soldier-like attitude is likely to result into competitive spirit, speedy ascents, miscalculations about risk and overconfident actions. and hence more chance of altitude sickness and related risks. This is one type of attitude. Other is mountain is a divine face of nature to be worshipped like God, who may allow mountaineers or climbers to ascend and descend safely. So this pilgrim-like attitude is likely to result into approach which is more realistic goals, calculated risk, and humble, persistent actions. And hence, there is very less chance of altitude sickness and related risk means even death. So, your attitude, these are two extreme attitudes. No, your particular attitude should be in between the two. In between the two, because first attitude, if constantly undertaken, have resulted into many accidents and deaths in the mountains, while constant second altitude is very safe. But of course, if you are having a goal of climbing certain peak, all the time pilgrim-like approach will not be successful. There has to be certain aggression. So in between the two, depending on the need of the day. Team spirit is very important. Together, everyone achieves more. Partnerships are very important. Already told by me that you should define your partner on the trek right from beginning. Always climb in pairs, looking after and helping each other. While solo trekker or climber is maximally prone to all problems and risks. I think that is last slide, but just run through. This I will not cover because you have to have certain fitness test, and this is explanation of stress test which are already explained. So I wish you very happy and healthy trekking in Himalaya.
For high altitude treks. The session will be conducted by Jitendra Gaware. He is a very experienced veteran mountaineer of Giripremi. He has multiple achievements. He was awarded with IMF Gold Medal in 2025, as well as Shiva Chhatrapati Award, which is the highest award of Maharashtra government in adventure sports, as well as he has submitted 8,000 mountains, namely Everest, Lhotse, Manaslu, Annapurna, Kanchenjunga, Dhaulagiri, and Makalu. So I request Jitendra Dada to take the stage. So please join me in welcoming Jitendra Dada.
It's truly an honor to be here with all of you today. Let us talk about how to train smartly for high altitude. So, fitness training components. These are basic components and you can say fundamentals. Endurance, strength, flexibility, balance, stability, and mental strength. So, जिन्होंने भी हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे या वेस्टर्न घाट में ट्रेकिंग किया है तो इंड्योरेंस एज कंपेयर टू अदर स्पोर्ट या अपना लाइफस्टाइल फिटनेस जो होता है या रूटीन फिटनेस जो होता है उसके मुकाबले इंड्योरेंस फिटनेस किसे कहते हैं वो लगभग सभी को पता होगा, बट थोड़ा डिटेल में बताना चाहूँगा. जब हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड उसमें ऐड हो जाता है देन इंड्योरेंस के थोड़े से पैरामीटर्स चेंज हो जाते हैं. सो हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे इंड्योरेंस परफॉर्मेंस करना इसके लिए थोड़ी अलग एबिलिटी चाहिए, एक्लिमेटाइजेशन प्रोसेस होता है. देन आप थोड़ा आउटडोर के लिए एक्सपोजर विथ अल्टीट्यूड एंड कोल्ड वेदर ये इसका एक्सपीरियंस होना ज़रूरी होता है. सो ये अगर बेसिक आपका अगर एक्सपीरियंस हो देन आप फेमिलियर हो जाते हो हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड इंड्योरेंस ट्रेनिंग के लिए, या आपका थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस आपको डेफिनेटली आपके अपकमिंग इवेंट के लिए बेनिफिट देता है. बट जिसका किसी का पहला होगा और इंड्योरेंस ऑन हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड जिनको पता नहीं होगा उनको मैं थोड़ा सा इन शॉर्ट बताऊंगा. अगर आप यहाँ पे आपका जो फैमिलियर वेदर है, जिस वेदर कंडीशन में आप रहते हो वहाँ पे आप अगर आप वर्कलोड या आपका जो भी ट्रेनिंग का जो वर्कलोड होता है वो अगर आप ग्रेजुअली बढ़ाते जाते हो देन आपका लंग कैपेसिटी आपके जैसे सर ने बताया, गुडबोले सर ने, माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया डेंस हो जाते हैं, एटीपी स्ट्रांग हो जाता है और आपका इंड्योरेंस बिल्ड हो जाता है. बट अगेन आपको कोल्ड वेदर का एक्सपोजर एंड ऑल्टीट्यूड का एक्सपोजर जब आपके लंग्स को मिलता है तो थोड़े डायनेमिक्स चेंज हो जाते हैं. वो थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस के साथ ही आपको आएंगे. जो फर्स्ट टाइमर है तो डेफिनेटली आप लोगों ने जीजेएम या जीएफ के लोगों के साथ डिस्कस करके अपनी एक्टिविटी उस तरह से चूज की होगी. जो बिगनर्स है उन्होंने बिलो 3-4,000 मीटर एंड देन जिनको थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस है देन उन्होंने 3-4,000 मीटर के अबव जाने का प्लान किया होगा. स्ट्रेंथ पे आते हैं. इंड्योरेंस एंड स्ट्रेंथ ये दोनों एक दूसरे के बगल में रहते हैं. अगर आपको लगता है कि इंड्योरेंस जैसे रनर रनिंग करते हैं और उनका लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रनिंग आप अगर कंसिडर करते हो एज अ इंड्योरेंस, ट्रेकिंग या हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड या मल्टीपल डेज का जो इवेंट होता है उसका इंड्योरेंस थोड़ा सा अलग होता है, क्योंकि उसमें कोई भी एथलीट अगर एक दिन का रेस करता है या ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2 दिन का या ट्रायथलॉन 3 दिन का कोई बड़े रेसेस होते हैं. बट ऑल्टीट्यूड पे मल्टीपल डेज अगर आपको परफॉर्म करना है, जैसे कि आप 8-10 दिन 15 दिन का अगर कोई ट्रेक करते हो, जैसे अगर आप एवरेस्ट बेस कैंप को जा रहे हो और आपको 11 डेज का एक्टिविटी है जिसमें आपका रेस्ट डे भी एक्लेमेटाइजेशन डे होता है और उसमें भी छोटा मोटा एक्टिविटी होता ही है आपका. तो इसमें बेसिक इशू आता है आपका रिकवरी का. और अगर आपका रिकवरी पैटर्न अगर अच्छा है तो डेफिनेटली आपका परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा रहेगा और आप उस एक्टिविटी को एंजॉय कर सकते हो. सो ग्रेजुअली आप अगर मल्टीपल डेज इंड्योरेंस ट्रेनिंग करोगे जिसमें आप वेरिएशन कर सकते हो, बहुत सारा वेरिएशन है. जैसे इंड्योरेंस के लिए आप साइकिलिंग, रनिंग, स्विमिंग एंड लोड के साथ हाइकिंग, ये सारी चीज़ें कर सकते हो. फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, अगेन फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी अलग. आप योगा और इक्वलेंट कोई चीज़ें करते हो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के लिए या रूटीन आपके वर्कआउट के बाद में स्ट्रेचेस है, मोबिलिटी ड्रिल्स करते हो, तो उसके अलावा अनइवन सरफेस पे चलते हुए अगर आपको स्टेबिलिटी और फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी मेंटेन करना है तो उसके लिए आपको कंसिस्टेंसली आपको उस सरफेस पे चलना होगा. अगेन वहाँ का टेरेन अलग होता है, सो डायनेमिक्स चेंज हो जाते हैं और आपका फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी जो आप फ्लोर पे, मैट पे या ग्राउंड पे करते हो तो अगेन वो अनइवन सरफेस पे या अपहिल पे अलग हो जाता है. सो आपको ग्रेजुअली आपका अगर ट्रेकिंग का या हाइकिंग का जो भी रूटीन है उसको ग्रेजुअली आपको बिल्ड करना है इंड्योरेंस वाइज. और ट्वाइस और थ्राइस वीक अगर आप आउटडोर एक्सपोजर देते हो बॉडी को तो डेफिनेटली आपका. और हाँ, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के बारे में बोल रहे थे तो आपको एवरी एक्टिविटी के बाद में डेफिनेटली स्ट्रेचिंग करना है और एक्टिविटी के शुरू में वार्म अप भी करना है. तो आपके मसल को रिकवरी के लिए बहुत उसका बेनिफिट होता है. बैलेंस और स्टेबिलिटी के लिए कुछ एक्सरसाइजेस है जिसमें आप जैसे कि आपके मल्टीपल मसल और जॉइंट्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं जब आप ट्रेक करते हो. तो आपको एंकल से लेके हिप जॉइंट और शोल्डर मूवमेंट तक का आपका अलाइनमेंट बॉडी को बैलेंस करना पड़ता है और वेट के साथ कभी कभी करना पड़ता है. मोस्टली ट्रेकर्स उतना लोड नहीं उठाते, बट जो कोई 6,000 मीटर का ट्रेकिंग पीक या कोई टेक्निकल माउंटेन क्लाइंब करने का सोच रहे तो अगेन उनके लिए फिर थोड़ा अलग से ट्रेनिंग की ज़रूरत पड़ती है. बट बेसिकली आप 3 to 4 kg का वेट उठा के ट्रेक करना ही पड़ेगा आपको अगर हिमालय में जा रहे हो. अपना सेल्फ सफिशिएंट फूड, वाटर, हाइड्रेशन और ये सम क्लोथिंग यू हैव टू कैरी ओवर देयर. सो उतना वेट लेके अगर आप चलते हो तो आपका मसल फटीग होगा. आपका हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे जब ऑक्सीजन की कमी होगी तब आपका रिकवरी स्लो डाउन हो जाएगा. देन आपको बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आपके जो स्टेबलाइजर मसल्स है और जॉइंट्स है, लिगामेंट, टेंडन्स है, इनको भी आपको ट्रेन करना है. और जब आपको मल्टीपल डेज लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन आप ट्रेक करते हो तो बेसिकली आपके लिगामेंट, टेंडन और जॉइंट पे प्रेशर होता है तो स्टेबिलिटी थोड़ा आपका लैक हो जाता है वहाँ पे और उसकी वजह से इंजरी होने के चांसेस होते हैं. सो कुछ ड्रिल्स होते हैं जिसमें आप आपके नी के अराउंड, हिप के अराउंड या एंकल के अराउंड के मसल्स को स्ट्रेंथन करके देन आपका ये वाला इशू आपका एड्रेस कर सकते हो. सो ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और ये आप रूटीन में अगर करोगे तो डेफिनेटली आप अनइवन सरफेस पे टैकल कर पाओगे, आपका चलना या आपको बैलेंस करना। बट उसको सेपरेटली अगर आप स्ट्रेंथन करोगे जैसे स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग के थ्रू, तो आपको डबल बेनिफिट उसका होगा। एंड मेंटल स्ट्रेंथ, तो हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे कोई भी इवेंट में आपको एक टाइम ऐसा आएगा कि आपको लगेगा मैंने इससे ज़्यादा कभी पुश नहीं किया है, और हमारे बॉडी में वो कैपेसिटी होती है, बट हम लोग अंडर एस्टिमेट करते हैं, और कई बार लोग कर सकते हैं लेकिन छोड़ देते हैं मेंटल फिटनेस की वजह से। तो थोड़ा आप अगर यहाँ पे वर्कलोड अगर आप बढ़ाते जाओगे ग्रेजुअली, और आपका जो इवेंट है उसके अकॉर्डिंग आपको अगर पता है कि किसी दिन आपको 8 घंटा चलना है, और आप 15 दिन में या महीने में एक ऐसा इवेंट करोगे जिसमें आप 8 से 10 घंटा, अगर आपका 8 घंटे का इवेंट है तो आप 10 घंटा अगर आपके बॉडी को ट्रेन करते हो, डेफिनेटली आपका 8 घंटे का एक्टिविटी जो है वो बहुत अच्छा होगा। और उसका एक आपको की ये बताता हूँ, फैक्टर बताता हूँ। आप अगर ऐसा कोई एक्टिविटी 15 दिन या महीने में एक बार कर रहे हो, तो उसके एक दिन पहले और 2 दिन बाद आप थोड़ा इजी वर्कआउट कर सकते हो, जिसकी वजह से आपका जो इंड्योरेंस वाला जो बड़ा लॉन्ग एक्टिविटी है उसका रिकवरी भी अच्छा होगा और उसका प्रिपरेशन भी अच्छा होगा। सो ये सारी चीज़ें अगर आप ध्यान में रखें, ये 5 पॉइंट्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए ट्रेनिंग करोगे, तो डेफिनेटली आपका ट्रेनिंग सही डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है ये आपको पता चलेगा। अगेन आपका प्रोग्रेशन होना चाहिए ट्रेनिंग में, और ये आपको खुद को एनालाइज करने आना चाहिए कि आपका ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्रेसिव है और आप लास्ट वीक से या लास्ट मंथ से बेटर करते जा रहे हो। देन आपको रियलाइज होगा कि हाँ ये ट्रेनिंग हो रहा है। अदरवाइज कई बार ट्रेनिंग कर रहे होते हैं और हमें बेनिफिट नहीं मिलते हैं, हम लोग सोचते हैं और क्या करना चाहिए, कितना करना चाहिए। कभी कभी डाइट और रेस्ट की वजह से भी आपका प्रोग्रेशन रुक जाता है, तो समझ में नहीं आता। मैं तो पहली बार भी सिंहगढ़ गए थे तभी भी थक रहा था, अभी जा रहा हूँ तभी भी थक रहा हूँ, 2 महीने से कर रहा हूँ तभी भी थक रहा हूँ। तो ये सारी चीज़ें हैं जो जिसके लिए मैं आगे बताऊंगा आपको कि क्या इश्यूज होते हैं जिसकी वजह से ये होता है। ट्रेनिंग गोल्स, इम्प्रूव एंड्योरेंस, इसी के ऊपर बात कर रहे थे हम लोग। अडॉप्ट टू लो ऑक्सीजन, डिले फटीग, इनहांस रिकवरी। सो एंड्योरेंस इंप्रूव करने के लिए अगर कोई किसी को लगता है कि मैं सिंहगढ़ या कोई हिल क्लाइंब कर रहा हूँ हफ्ते में 1 बार 2 बार और मेरा इनफ ट्रेनिंग है, तो मैं कहूँगा कि थोड़ा सा आप अगर उसके अलावा एरोबिक और अनएरोबिक ट्रेनिंग का कॉम्बिनेशन करके रनिंग, स्विमिंग और साइकिलिंग जैसा कोई 1-2 इवेंट वीक में ऐड करके कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ वर्कआउट आप ऐड करोगे, तो डेफिनेटली सिमिलर जॉइंट पे प्रेशर नहीं आएगा, और आपका वेरिएशन की वजह से लंग्स का कैपेसिटी, आउटडोर का एक्सपोजर एंड डिफरेंट मसल ग्रुप आपके वर्क होंगे, और जिससे स्ट्रेंथ और इंड्योरेंस दोनों बढ़ेगा। सो कभी कभी हम लोग एक जैसा अगर क्लाइंब करना है तो सिर्फ क्लाइंब ही करते रहेंगे तो ओवर ट्रेनिंग भी हो जाएगा, और मसल आपके हमेशा फटीग रहेगा, उसमें रिकवरी नहीं होगी, और आपको हमेशा लगेगा कि मेरा प्रोग्रेशन नहीं हो रहा है। सो आप रिप्लेस कर सकते हो, वेरिएशन कर सकते हो, बट आपका एक होना चाहिए। अगर आपको हाइकिंग करना है तो एक हाइकिंग का एक्टिविटी वंस इन अ वीक होनी चाहिए, जो आपका एंड्योरेंस टेस्ट करेगी और आपका प्रोग्रेशन का रिपोर्ट आपको देती रहेगी। बट एक एक्टिविटी उसके साथ में ऐसी होनी चाहिए जो आपको मल्टीपल डेज के इसके लिए प्रिपेयर करे। तो शुरू में आप वीक के सेकेंड डे और लास्ट डे आप सेम एक्टिविटी कर सकते हो जैसे हाइकिंग है, और बीच में आप अदर एक्टिविटीज जैसे आपके अदर मसल ग्रुप, सपोर्टिव मसल ग्रुप के वर्कआउट कर सकते हो, जिससे आपका लंग का कैपेसिटी और हार्ट का कंडीशनिंग होते रहेगा। अडॉप्ट टू लो ऑक्सीजन, अभी ये जो फैक्टर है ये आपको थोड़ा सा मुश्किल लगेगा जिनका थोड़ा सा एज अबव 30-35 के ऊपर है। अगर रनिंग अगर आप ऐड करते हो तो डेफिनेटली आपको लंग का कैपेसिटी बढ़ेगा आपका। और अभी तो बहुत सारे ऑक्सीजन मास्क होते हैं, लो ऑक्सीजन ट्रेनिंग मास्क होते हैं, जिससे ऑक्सीजन या एयर फ्लो कम किया जाता है और उससे ट्रेनिंग। बट उतना सब ट्रेकिंग के लिए और नॉर्मल एक्सपीडिशन या माउंटेनियरिंग के लिए भी ज़रूरी नहीं है, जिनको विदाउट ऑक्सीजन वगैरह करना है उनके लिए वो ठीक है। बट कभी कभी यूट्यूब पे या वो देख के नॉर्मल जिनको एवरेस्ट बेस कैंप करने को जाना है वो भी वो लोग यूज़ करना शुरू करते हैं। बट आप नॉर्मल रनिंग भी करोगे तो आपका ऑक्सीजन का रिक्वायरमेंट ज़्यादा होगा और सप्लाई अगेन बढ़ाने के लिए फिर आपकी बॉडी उस तरह से काम करने लगेगी। बट एक रनिंग का अगर, और रनिंग का कोई पेस ज़रूरी नहीं है, आप जोन टू मतलब आपके हार्ट रेट, आपका हार्ट रेट होना चाहिए 180 माइनस आपका एज। तो इतने अगर हार्ट रेट से अगर भी आप दौड़ोगे तो उतना रनिंग भी इनफ है। जॉग भी कर सकते हो और बहुत ही ज़्यादा सीनियर कोई है तो ब्रिस्क वॉक भी कर सकते हैं, जिससे आपका हार्ट का कंडीशनिंग होता रहेगा और लंग कैपेसिटी भी आपका बढ़ता रहेगा। बेसिकली क्या है, जो आपका बेसिक आपका लंग्स का फिटनेस है या हार्ट का फिटनेस है वो ऑल्टीट्यूड से जाने से पहले यहाँ से बेहतर होना चाहिए, डिले फटीग। सो ये चीज़ है जो आपके रेस्ट और डाइट और आपका वर्कआउट का जो ट्रेनिंग प्लान है उससे रिलेट करती है। अगर आपका ट्रेनिंग ओवरलोडेड नहीं है, बैलेंस है, और अगर आपका डाइट अच्छा है, आपके खाने पीने के और सोने उठने के टाइमिंग अच्छे है, देन ये फटीग बहुत ही कम लोगों को आता है। सुपर एथलीट जो होते हैं वो मैक्सिमम रेस्ट पे फोकस करते हैं, डाइट पे फोकस करते हैं, देन वो ट्रेनिंग स्ट्रॉन्ग करते हैं। लेकिन हम लोग बहुत हमारे बिजी शेड्यूल में, या हम लोग प्रोफेशनल एथलीट नहीं है, तो फिर हम लोग क्या करते हैं, ट्रेनिंग 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 और ट्रेनिंग प्लान के ऊपर फोकस करके किसी से एक ट्रेनिंग प्लान बना लेंगे और पूरा फोकस उस पर रहेगा। फिर हम खाते किस टाइम पे, उठते किस टाइम पे, सोते किस टाइम पे, अगर ये चीज़ें ध्यान में नहीं रखेंगे तो अगेन वर्कलोड बढ़ेगा और फटीग आएगा तो रिकवरी नहीं होगी और प्रोग्रेशन रुक जाएगा। तो आपको खुद को मालूम पड़ेगा कि मैं पहले टाइम भी 1-1.5 घंटा ले रहा था सिंहगढ़ चढ़ने में और अभी भी उतना ही टाइम लग रहा है। अगर एवरी 3 वीक अगर आपको रिजल्ट नहीं मिल रहा है, आपको अगर आपका टाइम कम नहीं हो रहा है किसी भी एक्टिविटी में, आपका स्पीड टाइम इंप्रूव नहीं हो रहा, तो इसका मतलब प्रोग्रेशन नहीं है। और ये आपको खुद को ऑब्जर्व करना है इन चीज़ों को। अगर आप इन सारी चीज़ों को एड्रेस करोगे तो डेफिनेटली आपका फटीग नहीं होगा, तो ट्रेनिंग स्ट्रांग होगा, ट्रेनिंग स्ट्रांग होगा तो फिर आपका डाइट भी अच्छा होगा और अगेन आपका रिकवरी अच्छा हो जाएगा। इनहेंस रिकवरी वही है, आपका रेस्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है इसमें। ओनली ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर फोकस करेंगे तो शायद आपका रिकवरी नहीं होगा। आपको इक्वली इम्पोर्टेंस देना है रिकवरी के लिए, रेस्ट भी ज़रूरी है और डाइट भी ज़रूरी है। नेक्स्ट, बिल्ड हार्ट रेट एंड लंग कैपेसिटी। अगेन अगर किसी को जॉइंट का प्रॉब्लम है तो वो बोल सकते हैं कि मुझे रनिंग नहीं होगा, मैं हाइकिंग कर सकता हूँ या नी कैप पहन के मुझे अप हिल चढ़ना पॉसिबल है, बट रनिंग पॉसिबल नहीं है। इम्पैक्ट करने वाला कोई भी एक्टिविटी मेरे को डॉक्टर ने अलाउ नहीं किया। हाँ, तो फिर आप स्विमिंग कर सकते हो, साइकिलिंग कर सकते हो, बट एक ऐसा एक्टिविटी होना चाहिए जिसमें आप 1.5 से 2 घंटा एक अच्छे कार्डियो जोन में रहो और फिर आपका लंग का और हार्ट का कैपेसिटी उससे बढ़ेगा। इंक्रीज ऑक्सीजन इफिशियंसी, ये भी इसी से आएगा। अगर आपका एरोबिक ट्रेनिंग अगर अच्छा होगा और एनाएरोबिक का भी कॉम्बिनेशन आप बीच में दोगे, एक अगर इंटरवल ट्रेनिंग, अभी इंटरवल ट्रेनिंग का मतलब काफ़ी लोगों को पता ही होगा, बट इन शॉर्ट आपको बता देता हूँ। अगर आप जिनको रनिंग नहीं जमता है या बिगिनर रनर्स है, वो लोग 3 किलोमीटर से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं और 3 किलोमीटर नॉन स्टॉप अगर आपको नहीं हो रहा है तो जितना भी आप वार्म अप के बाद में पहले राउंड में भाग सकते हो, जैसे 300 मीटर, 500 मीटर, 1 किलोमीटर, 1.5 किलोमीटर आप भागो, तो उसके बाद में एक अच्छे स्पीड मेंटेन करके आप वॉक करो। वॉक रन वॉक फॉर्मूला जिसे कहते हैं, वो आप करके आप आपका रनिंग इंप्रूव कर सकते हो। और जो बीच का वॉक का टाइम है उसको धीरे धीरे मिनिमाइज करते जाओगे तो आपका कंटिन्यूटी में 3 किलोमीटर रनिंग आपका 3 to 4 वीक में हो जाएगा। और 3-5 किलोमीटर रनिंग सीनियर्स को, और 5 to 8-10 किलोमीटर जो बिलो 30 है, 35 है, और जिनका फिट, ये डिपेंड करता है बॉडी टू बॉडी एंड आपका फिटनेस और आपका जो प्रोफेशन है उसके ऊपर। बॉडी वेट भी उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करता है। सो ये होगा लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन एक्टिविटीज़। लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन एक्टिविटीज़ आप जैसे सिंहगढ़, बहुत जो पुणे में रहते हैं उनके लिए बहुत ही अच्छा एक ऑप्शन है सिंहगढ़ जैसा, जो आप क्लाइंब कर सकते हो और अगर आपकी बहुत अच्छी कैपेसिटी तो आप 2 बार भी क्लाइंब कर सकते हो। देन अगर 2 बार बहुत अच्छे से क्लाइंब कर रहे हो, अच्छे टाइमिंग के साथ कर रहे हो, विदाउट फटीग कर रहे हो, तो फिर आप थोड़ा लोड भी ऐड कर सकते हो उसमें। बट जो पूना सिटी के बाहर है या जिनके आसपास कोई हिल या माउंटेन या ऐसी कोई सुविधा नहीं है, तो मिनिमम 3-5 फ्लोर्स की अगर कोई बिल्डिंग आपको मिल जाती है तो वहाँ पे आप स्टेयर क्लाइंब कर सकते हो, और वहाँ पे भी आप हाफ आवर से स्टार्ट करके धीरे धीरे प्रोग्रेसिव रह के प्रोग्रेशन रख के आप थोड़ा बाद में वेट भी ऐड कर सकते हो। रनिंग, साइकिलिंग, ट्रेकिंग, ये 3 चीज़ें हैं। इसमें से ट्रेकिंग तो आपको करना ही है, हाइकिंग अपहिल वाला जो एक्टिविटी है। रनिंग और साइकिलिंग आपको ऑप्शन है, दोनों कर सकते हो तो बेटर है, वेरिएशन हो जाएगा। बट जिसको रनिंग जमता ही नहीं है वो डेफिनेटली साइकिलिंग एंड स्विमिंग उसमें ऐड कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट। कंसिस्टेंसी अगर होगी तो फटीग नहीं होगा। शुरू में जिनका कैपेसिटी बहुत कम है, मसल इंड्योरेंस या रिकवरी पैटर्न बहुत ही खराब है, वो लोगों का जो बिगर, अभी मुझे लगता है जो लोग अप्रैल मई में जा रहे हैं एक्टिविटी के लिए, इवेंट के लिए, उनका तो बेसिक फिटनेस होगा ही होगा। ये कंसिडर करके मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर आप अभी ये स्टेज पे हो कि आप रनिंग कर रहे हो या हाइकिंग कर रहे हो या कोई भी आपका जो वर्कआउट जो चल रहा है वो बहुत अच्छे से कर रहे हो, तो थोड़ा अभी ये टाइम रहेगा आपका मार्च का, मिड मार्च तक, जिसमें आप प्रोग्रेशन रख सकते हो। देन उसके बाद में आप थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स ले लो। जिस तरह से आपने ग्रेजुअली आपके कैपेसिटी को, इंड्योरेंस को या ट्रेनिंग को बढ़ाया, प्रोग्रेशन में लेके गए हो, उसी तरह से नेक्स्ट 15 या 20 डेज या 3 वीक में आप उसको थोड़ा नीचे नीचे लाके आपका रिकवरी कर सकते हो। देन आपके बॉडी को कैटाबॉलिज्म मोड पे, कैटाबॉलिक या कीटो पे डाल के आप फैट के लिए यूज टू कर सकते हो। उसके बहुत सारे प्लान्स आपको मिल जाएंगे, किसी एक्सपर्ट से भी आप ले सकते हो। और थोड़ा हिमालय में जाने से पहले अगर थोड़ा हेल्दी वेट अगर गेन कर सकते हो आप, हेल्दी फैटी एसिड लेके, देन आपको उसका बेनिफिट होगा इंड्योरेंस एक्टिविटी में। कंसिस्टेंसी से आपका स्ट्रॉन्गर हुआ ही होगा आपका जो भी फिटनेस शेड्यूल है या फिटनेस है। एंड देन लोड एंड रेस्ट, इसके बारे में मैंने आपको बताया। थोड़ा मैं जल्दी में बोल रहा हूँ, बहुत डिटेल में बोलना चाहता था, बट मैंने देखा कि आपको लेट भी, आज प्रोग्राम भी लेट हुआ स्टार्ट, एंड देन अभी काफ़ी टाइम भी हुआ है। सो यही चीज़ है, अगर आपका वर्कलोड और रेस्ट और प्रोग्रेशन अगर सही डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है तो डेफिनेटली फटीग नहीं आएगा, रिकवरी अच्छी होगी और आने वाले एक्टिविटी में आपको उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा। मुझे लगता है अभी बस करके थोड़ा इंटरेक्शन कर लेते हैं। सो किसी को अगर कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चंस है तो आप मुझे पूछ लीजिए, वो ज़्यादा बेटर रहेगा क्योंकि टाइम कम है अभी, क्योंकि 10 मिनट में ख़त्म करना है। यस।
जोन 2 में हम रनिंग करते हैं तो कितने, वो तो फॉर्मूला आपको पता है, उसका अल्टरनेट कितने ड्यूरेशन के लिए रखना है?
वही फॉर्मूला है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, आप ग्रेजुअली उसको इम्प्रूव, अगर आप पहले जोन टू में तो मुझे लगता है बहुत मुश्किल नहीं होता है मेंटेन करना, बट फिर भी अगर आपको मुश्किल लगता है तो आपका जो मैक्सिमम कैपेसिटी है उसको 30% बिलो रख के धीरे धीरे प्रोग्रेशन करते रहेंगे तो रिकवरी अच्छा होगा, स्ट्रेस भी नहीं होगा और आपका प्रोग्रेशन भी होगा। बट अभी ये स्टेज पे आपको थोड़ा ऑप्टिमम लेवल पे रखना है ट्रेनिंग, तो आप ग्रेजुअली उसको बढ़ाते जाएंगे तो शायद उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा।
How long one should run in zone
इट्स डिपेंड ऑन योर कैपेसिटी। सो आपका अभी क्या कैपेसिटी मुझे पता नहीं, तो मैं आपको टाइम सजेस्ट नहीं कर सकता। सो अगर आपको लगता है कि जोन 2 में आप अगर 30 मिनट या 40 मिनट भागते हो या 20 मिनट भागते हो तो आपको नेक्स्ट वीक या नेक्स्ट सेशन में आपको 25 मिनट, 30 मिनट, 5 मिनट से बढ़ाना चाहिए उसको। बट अगेन आपका रिकवरी और वो देख के स्टिफनेस आता है मसल में तो वो महसूस होता है, थोड़ा फोम रोलिंग वगैरह करके उसको निकाल सकते हैं। बट अगेन अगर स्टिफनेस आ रहा है मतलब रिकवरी अच्छा नहीं है। तो ये सारा बॉडी कॉल आपको समझ में आना चाहिए। छोटी छोटी चीज़ें जो रेगुलर ट्रेनिंग करते हैं उनको पता होता है, अगर किसी को नहीं पता तो मैं हूँ यहाँ पे बताने के लिए।
सर ये एक ही पेस पे रनिंग करना चाहिए या फास्ट लो करना चाहिए?
हाँ, इंटरवल ट्रेनिंग में आप ऐसा कर सकते हो। एक इंटरवल ट्रेनिंग अगर हफ्ते में आप एक बार करोगे तो उसका बेनिफिट ये रहेगा, आपका कार्डियोवैस्कुलर भी अच्छा रहेगा, ब्रीदिंग पैटर्न भी अच्छा रहेगा और मसल रिकवरी के लिए भी अच्छा रहेगा। और जो हाई इम्पैक्ट एक्टिविटी होती है तो आप हमेशा एक ही पेस से, जैसे हाई हाई पेस में भागना पसंद करते हैं लोग और वैसे ही करते रहेंगे तो फिर रिकवरी हैम्पर हो जाती है उस वजह से। तो आप एक बार वो कर सकते हो, इंटरवल ट्रेनिंग कर सकते हैं आप।
सर जिम में 3 hours including rowing, electrical, cycling and treadmill is sufficient?
हार्ट कंडीशन के लिए अच्छा है, लेकिन ये हाँ एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक छूट गया मेरा। आपका स्पेसिफिक अगर स्पोर्ट स्पेसिफिक ट्रेनिंग अगर नहीं होगा तो आप किसी और स्पोर्ट के लिए या किसी और मसल ग्रुप का अगर बहुत अच्छा हेवी वर्कआउट करते हो तो शायद आप वो स्पेसिफिक इवेंट में या स्पोर्ट में आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि यहाँ पे मैं थोड़ा लैग कर रहा हूँ। तो आपका हार्ट रेट बहुत अच्छा रहता है, लेकिन अगेन वो अलग टाइप का एक्टिविटी आप करते हो। तो इसलिए मैंने आपको बोला कि अगर आप हाइकिंग के लिए जा रहे हो तो ट्वाइस अ वीक आपको हाइकिंग स्पेसिफिक मसल ग्रुप को यूज करना ही करना है। अगर एक बार सिंहगढ़ जाते हो तो एक बार आपको स्टेयर क्लाइंबिंग करना चाहिए, और वो डिपेंड करता है आपकी कैपेसिटी के, और ग्रेजुअली आप उसको धीरे धीरे बढ़ाते जाएंगे तो आपका कैपेसिटी बढ़ते जाएगा। अगेन उसका रेस्ट और डाइट वो इम्पोर्टेंट रोल रहता है उसका। हाँ
altitude mountaineer trek compare करने के लिए this is physical aspect, the nutritional aspect को specific features।
हाँ, ये बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है। न्यूट्रिशन बहुत मैटर करता है, और हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे बहुत बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन आपको नौशे आता है, तो ऑटोमेटिक आपका ब्रेन आपको सिग्नल देता है कि आप ज़्यादा मत खाओ, क्योंकि डाइजेशन बहुत स्लो हो जाता है वहाँ पे। सो आप वहाँ पे जाने के बाद में, जैसे यहाँ पे हम लोग वर्कआउट के लिए प्रोग्रेशन रखते हैं, वैसे अगर आप आपके एपेटाइट पे फोकस रख के अगर उस पर कंट्रोल ले सकते हो और धीरे धीरे आपका जो डाइट है वो अगर मेंटेन करते हो, और वहाँ पे आप कोशिश करो, इवन वहाँ पे क्यों, यहाँ पे भी हम लोग जब ट्रेनिंग करते हैं, अब हम लोग अगर न्यूट्रिशियस डाइट नहीं रखेंगे और कुछ भी अनाप शनाप खाएंगे तो आपको पक्का उसका लॉस होने वाला है। तो यहाँ और वहाँ पे जितना भी खाना हेल्दी खाओ, जिससे आपका डाइजेशन का जो जिसके लिए आप कॉम्पनसेट कर रहे हो, वहाँ पे आपका ऑक्सीजन जो बहुत प्रेशियस है वहाँ पे वो यूज हो रहा है, तो वो अच्छी चीज खा के, अच्छा डाइट, अच्छा न्यूट्रिशियस फूड खा के, और उसको हाँ, और एक मैं मेरा पर्सनल बताता हूँ, अगर यहाँ पे आप अच्छे से चबा के अगर कुछ चीज खाते हो, कोशिश करो कि मुंह में लिक्विड हो जाए उसका, तो वहाँ पे फिर आपका इंटेस्टाइन को उसको ब्रेक डाउन करने में ज़्यादा ताकत नहीं लगती है। तो ऑक्सीजन अगर कम होने की वजह से अगर आपके इंटेस्टाइन से भी उसका इफेक्ट हो रहा है, तो वो अच्छे चबाने की वजह से, जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि वेदों में, वैदिक इसमें भी बोलते हैं कि 32 टाइम हमको चबा के खाना चाहिए। अगर ऐसे आप अच्छे से चबा के खाओगे और उसका लिक्विड मुंह में ही बना लोगे तो उसको पचने में ज़्यादा ताकत नहीं लगेगी और आपका रिकवरी अच्छा हो जाएगा। सो न्यूट्रिशियस हेल्दी फूड और खाने का अच्छा, जैसे ऑल्टीट्यूड के साथ एक्लेमेटाइज होते हैं, वैसे फूड के साथ भी फ्रेंडली होना सीखना चाहिए ऑल्टीट्यूड को धीरे धीरे।
सर स्टेयर क्लाइंबिंग और हाइकिंग में दोनों सेम ग्रुप ऑफ मसल्स यूज होता है?
लेकिन अगेन वेरिएशन है उसमें, अनइवन सरफेस पे अनइवन स्टेप्स है, और यहाँ पे आपके क्वाड और हैमस्ट्रिंग ग्लूट का कॉम्बिनेशन होकर एक अलग स्टेयर पे आपको इफेक्ट मिलता है। थोड़ा स्टेप अप करने के लिए आपको स्ट्रेंथ फील होगा अगर आप स्टेयर क्लाइंबिंग ऐड करोगे उसमें। आउटडोर में जो हाइक करते हैं उसमें थोड़ा स्टेबिलिटी और बैलेंस ज़्यादा मैटर करता है, और अनइवन सरफेस और अनइवन स्टेप्स के लिए हम लोग थोड़ा ज़्यादा बेटर हो जाते हैं। बट पॉसिबल नहीं होता है कि हमेशा ही हम लोग आउटडोर में करें, तो ये एक अच्छा ऑप्शन है कि स्टेयर्स पे हम लोग कर सकते हैं। रिपीटेशन करें अगर आधा घंटा, फिर उसको धीरे धीरे बढ़ा के 45 मिनट 1 आवर, ऐसे अपने अपने कैपेसिटी के और इवेंट के हिसाब से हम लोग कर सकते हैं। इसको एक्सपीडिशन करने में ज़्यादा भी कर सकते हैं। सी अगर आपका मसल इंड्योरेंस अच्छा है, लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन में आप स्लो स्पीड में भी बिना थके बहुत लंबा चल सकते हो, तो आपका सिंहगढ़ का टाइम डिले होगा तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। वो डिपेंड करता है पर्सन टू पर्सन, लेकिन बहुत लोग मैंने देखा है कि अंडर एस्टिमेट करते हैं। मुझे तो 1 घंटा लगता है, मुझे तो 1.5 घंटा लगता है, और मेरे फ्रेंड को तो 45 मिनट या 1 घंटा ही लगता है। तो फिर अगर आप 1 घंटा सिंहगढ़ करके भी, अगर आप 1.5 घंटे में भी करके अगर फ्रेश फील कर रहे हो, और अगर आप रिपीटेटिव कर सकते हो, और वो एक बार करके 50 मिनट्स में या 40 मिनट्स में वो थक रहा है, और आगे 1.5 टाइम या 2 टाइम वो नहीं कर पा रहे, तो इसका मतलब उसका मसल एंड्योरेंस कम है। सो ये इसके ऊपर आप टाइम के ऊपर मत जज करो। टाइमिंग का खेल तब होता है जब आपका बहुत स्पेसिफिक कोई इवेंट है, जैसे कोई माउंटेन क्लाइंब कर रहे हो और बहुत टाइमिंग का इशू है वहाँ पे, तो आपको टर्न अराउंड टाइम आपको मैंडेटरी है कि इतने टाइम में आपको आना है, तब जाके आप स्पीड के लिए वो करो। वो फिर आगे डिफरेंट ट्रेनिंग पैटर्न आपको फॉलो करना पड़ेगा। सॉरी? हाँ, डेफिनेटली हिल रन तो बहुत अच्छा है। अगर हिल रन कर रहे हो तो आप प्रो माउंटेनियर हो सकते हो, अगर आप अच्छा हिल रन करते हो। हाँ, कर सकते हो। यस। वर्कआउट के साथ डाइट कैसा होना चाहिए, ये अगेन डिपेंड करता है, वेजिटेरियन हो नॉन वेजिटेरियन हो। लेकिन हाई प्रोटीन डाइट रिकमेंड करूंगा मैं, और जिसके साथ आजकल बहुत लोग हाई प्रोटीन और लो कार्ब्स के चक्कर में हेल्दी फैट को इग्नोर कर देते हैं, तो हेल्दी फैट भी ऐड करना चाहिए उसमें। और ये डिपेंड करता है कि आपका ट्रेनिंग किस पर्पस के लिए आप कर रहे हो और कितना। तो डाइट बहुत स्पेसिफिक चीज़ है, बट वही आपका अगर प्रोग्रेशन हो रहा है और आपका डाइट अच्छा है, तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि डाइट की वजह से लैक हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है। वो थोड़ा क्लोज ऑब्जर्वेशन होना चाहिए उसकी।
हेल्दी फैट के लिए क्या ऐड करना है?
ओमेगा 3 कर सकते हैं, और बहुत सारे सप्लीमेंट भी आते हैं, बट सप्लीमेंट के बदले में आप जो भी ट्रेडिशनल फूड है, कोशिश करो कि ऑयल को फ्राई या कुक करने के बदले में उसको अगर कम हीट या कम कुक करके या रॉक
सैलेड
ऐसा डिश आप प्रिपेयर करो कि जिसको ऊपर से आप ऑयल, और ऑयल भी हेल्दी होना चाहिए। रिफाइंड ऑयल अगर खाते तो फिर बहुत सारा वहीं पे प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है, तो वो बहुत स्पेसिफिक है। और कुछ? ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट। और किसी को अगर पर्सनली इंटरेक्शन करना है तो मैं हूँ यहाँ पे। अगर किसी को हेजिटेट हो रहा है यहाँ पे बात करने से, मैं हूँ यहाँ पे। ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट।
So fitness in itself is a very vast topic, and I would like to thank Jitendra Gaware for making it simple in layman language for everyone's understanding.